Probably.
I'm gonna go.
Oh, no, he's gonna be up with the second one. He's gonna be in our game. Yeah, but I'm supposed to walk.
Can't touch my chair.
Yeah, you're down low. There you go. Better.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
So has anyone talked to you?
Which is fine.
That day, okay. They're afraid to get a liberal. It's gonna be, I can't get the police reports. I have to get ready to get them.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to go.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Well, he's ready to live. Try one. That's 17.
He told me a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, I saw him.
You know. Yeah.
I hope so too, because I emailed him with questions. And they didn't.
I need some food.
We don't have
Gel pens.
Here. Hello. How are you?
Hired.
Yeah.
I do pay attention. I got one there now. I talked to the people that work for the police, for the police department, and they haven't done any of that. So you can have children in school, look at their school. It's really, it's not like a little bit. Oh, that one, that one, that one.
I know, I think I know. Well, I haven't got everything. I got a terrible memory. Well, I was in there. Yeah.
Someone's getting hard.
Either.
I did say hi.
Turn the. Yes. Right.
Your rants were going.
Right? Gotta stop it.
That's you. Like, oh, yeah.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so a motion to get back to open session.
Council Chair, Councilman, I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council return to an open session at 6:25 p.m.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that? Okay, just quickly for those in the audience, we do have to apologize to you that we had a closed session that was supposed to take about 60 to 90 minutes, but unfortunately it took a little longer than that. I apologize, but we had no choice. So we're back on track. We'll go ahead and close off this meeting and then start off the regular city council meeting.
Council Chair,
Okay,
Council
so
Chair.
with.
Council Chair.
Second.
we got to vote on that
That's
last.
what I'm saying, yeah. So any, discussions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is adjournment of the special meeting.
Motion to adjourn the special meeting, Council Chair.
Motion to adjourn the special meeting by Councilman, Baydoun, seconded by? Second by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the Dearborn Heights City Council special meeting will be adjourned at 6:06 p.m. I'm gonna go ahead and take just a 1-2 minute break just to get a little situated, and we'll start our regular city council meeting. And I thank you for waiting one more time. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and have it, yeah. This this had to be one time. Just received it. So, this is the from we'll make it 8B. The additional 8B. Yes. 8B. All right. Everyone ready?
Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights. Is the recording on? Chancellor,
That's on here.
are we good? Okay, so one more time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council. It is now being called to order. It is right now 6:28 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Yes, Dave Abdallah,
Here.
Hassan Ahmad,
Here.
Moby Dun,
Here.
Nancy Breyer. Here. Robert Constant,
Present.
Raymond Skins absent, and Tom Wenzel. Mr.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next up is our Pledge of Allegiance. This one's going to be led by our Dearborn Heights Police Department officers and directors. Thank you very much to our Dearborn Heights police officers, including our newly appointed captain there. So let's give them a hand there. Okay, next up, we have City Council citation to A to Z heating and cooling with Councilman Ahmad.
Thank you, Council Chair, Council members, Mayor, Madam Clerk, Madam Treasurer, fellow residents. I stand before you today with great pride as we recognize and honor a business that has truly made a difference in our local community. It is a privilege to present this council citation to a shining example of what dedication, innovation, and community spirit can achieve. This local business has been an integral part of our town for over 40 years. And throughout that time, they have always demonstrated their commitment to our community. This business is not just about commerce, it's about relationships, about the people who work there, and about the countless ways they have contributed to our town growth and well-being. So it is with great pleasure that we, the Dearborn Heights Council, present this citation to Ms. Colleen Connor, Vice President and daughter of Mr. Robert Connick, owner-founder of A to Z Heating and Cooling on Van Born in Dearborn Heights. This citation is a small token of our appreciation for the immense impact that they have had on our community. It is a reminder that when we support local businesses, we are investing in the heart and soul of our town. Thank you, Ms. Connor, and thank you to A to Z for unwavering dedication to making our community a better place. Your hard work, generosity, and commitment to excellence inspires us all. We look forward to many more years of your continued success and partnership in building a stronger, more vibrant Dearborn Heights. Please. Would you like to say something?
There you go, we all. I just wrote a little story about how agency started.
Yeah.
My father, Robert Connick.
That mic down a little bit.
Oh, sorry. So my father, Robert Connick, and Janet Connick, my mother. In the beginning, my dad was working at Sears doing refrigeration, and my mom worked at Ford Motor Company. I was born in 1973, and my mom quit Ford to be a stay-at-home mom, and my sister Julie was born a few years later. Throughout the years, friends and family would ask my dad to repair their appliances. He would work all evening after his day job. Then he realized he wanted to start his own company. He hired a couple of teenagers that lived across the street that just graduated from high school. Then he was informed by the city he could no longer work out of his garage. He leased a building, 24614 on Dearborn Road in Dearborn Heights. He named his company A2Z Total Appliance Repair, as he was doing repairs on appliances only. Moving forward, he came up with the name A2Z Total Appliance Repair because he wanted to be the first name in the Yellow Pages. So the business was incorporated in 1982. After a few years, he bought the building, and my mother Janet worked there answering the phones. Years later, he wanted to get into heating and cooling, so he took some classes to get his contractor's license and changed his name to A2Z Heating and Cooling. That is where the name came about. A2Z started expanding. He bought the party store next door, which was converted into a sheet metal shop so we could fabricate our own sheet metal. Some years later, an addition was added to the back of the building for offices and a garage to store all the equipment. The front was converted to a parts department for the do-it-yourselfers. We sell all parts, filters, humidifier pads, motors, I can go on and on. So later, in his later years, he joined the Chamber of Commerce, and he was on that for over 15 years. He was also president from 2007 to 2008. He also served on the zoning board for over 5 years until he decided to retire. He also taught classes at Henry Ford Community College for a few years in heating and cooling. So moving forward, I recently have, when they both retired, I became the CFO of A2Z Heating and Cooling and always strived on customer satisfaction and making my father proud.
And some free advertising. I've used them as a realtor, and it's always been a very professional job, and many customers have been very happy with the job that they do. So congratulations.
Please use local businesses as always.
Absolutely. All right, next up on our agenda is the agenda approval. Item 3A.
Council Chair,
Councilman.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agenda of the regular meeting of August 22nd, 2023, with the correction to item 9E. That is for the CSO L41 design authorization as and adding additional 8B on there as submitted.
Okay. Second, motion made by Councilman Baydoun, seconded by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion on that? So for those in the audience, there was an item that was just walked on by the administration. And just to at least give you a little bit of a heads up, this is a document for the city council meeting tonight. As for a grant for the city that is applied, that is due by August 31st. So I had to approve to have this thing added on. And this is bringing in, by the administration, additional money into the city of over, the application requesting $2.125 million. So this is a good thing. So that's why I approved to add this thing on right away. We'll get into detail a little bit later with the administration. Okay, any other discussions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes. The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Council Chair,
Councilman,
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes for the regular meeting of August 10th, 2023 as submitted.
Support.
okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baydun. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is public hearings and comment on agenda items only. Now, again, just as a reminder to those in the audience, you can, at this particular point, you can only go up and speak on agenda items. You will have 2 minutes. We will go ahead and start with Zoom first today, and then we'll go back to people in the audience. So anybody on Zoom that would like to comment on anything that's on the agenda, you'll have 2 minutes. Yeah, Cliff, do you see anybody? I don't. No hands raised on Zoom. Okay? Hold on 1 second. All right. Anybody in the audience that has a comment on anything on the agenda, come on up. Please state your name, city, and street. You will have 2 minutes. Hello.
Hello, Rachel LaPointe, Merrick Street, Dearborn Heights. So I wanted to comment on 9A and B. First, I'd just like to thank Councilman Muscat on behalf of the community for all the work that he's done and wish him well. I hope that whatever health issues he's dealing with, I know as someone who's had to deal with a lot, I think we all do, right? It's always hard to be dealing with that and to have to put yourself first when you want to serve others. And I know that Councilman Muscat has always wanted to serve the community and do his best. And I just hope that he knows that we appreciate that. So thank you to Councilman Muscat. And then regarding the vacancy and the appointment process, I emailed all of you some of my thoughts on that end of last week. So I'm not going to repeat all of that, but I would just like to ask you all to consider to not appoint anybody that's currently running for election.
No, it is an agenda item under publication. But if I can stop you for a second, Madam Clerk, I try to get an opinion, maybe yours or the Corporation Council before you continue. I apologize. As you are aware, there is no political solicitation
No,
that's
that's-
allowed on the council,
Yeah.
and I get that. In this particular case, we're going to be appointing somebody, so I just want to be sure.
I'm asking you
Get the
to
approval.
some-
No. I
yeah,
just want to make sure, if you don't mind, please, Rachel. For the clerk and Corporation Council, can somebody solicit or give positive vibes, or call it whatever you want to call it, about themselves or even somebody else as a special candidate during this? Because this is a little different than during typical elections, but in this case, we're going to be appointing somebody. So I just want to make sure, is this going to be okay or not okay?
Madam Clerk and
I went through the procedure already with the charter, following the charter. We have a memo prepared already, which we'll give out, and the process and procedure to follow, which has been done before. You guys have done it before. But I would not do any advocating now.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, Rachel,
I'm not soliciting any sort of recommendations for any particular
and
person.
I'm not referencing you,
Right, I know.
I'm
Yeah.
referencing for anybody else
For
that can
anybody
come up.
moving forward, yeah.
So, Madam Clerk, what's your opinion on this?
I forgot my microphone. If it's about the procedure, I mean, there's nothing this is what we're following, what has been followed before.
No, the procedure I have no problem with, but I just want to make sure I'm trying to keep it parallel
Yes.
to when there's elections.
Okay.
If I'm up for election, I can't go up there and say, I'm great. I'm doing
Right.
this, I'm doing that.
Right,
So I'm gonna follow the same procedure. You okay with that?
right. As long as there's no
Yeah, so
political
not saying,
campaigning.
not saying don't have people that are on or running or things like that, giving any opinion
And I
either
would-
way on that.
Can I
That
get
was
a
fine.
clarification then if somebody who's not considered, right, they could come up and say, I would like you to appoint Joe Schmo, right? Any resident could come up and say, I'd love it if you appointed this other person, correct?
But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I
I
want to
just
minimize
want to
the
clarify,
advocating.
yeah.
Okay,
No, I think it's great to go over the rules.
so we'll
That's
start
great.
your time again, just so that you have fair time. Councilman, you want to go ahead and start it? Start it from 2, it's okay, start it from 2
Yeah,
minutes.
I
Because
don't
I
need
interrupted
another
you.
second.
Go ahead. Now you're starting from 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, my point being is that I would like you guys to consider not appointing somebody who's currently running in the election, not out of any malice towards anybody in the election or preference for anybody, But because we're so close to the November election happening, you all have a lot of influence in the community. And if you choose to appoint someone who's running, that could influence the election in ways that you, I'm sure, would not intend, but that could be seen as election interference. And I don't want you guys to end up in that kind of pickle. So my encouragement to you, and obviously this depends on who is interested, who applies, all that kind of stuff, but to very carefully consider how your appointment will affect the election. The candidates have put in a lot of time, effort, and money, and I think we should respect that and make sure that it's as fair of an election as we can possibly allow it to be. It's unfortunate that we're in this situation so close to that date, but I know you guys will do the best you can, and I'm wishing you all the best in that process. So that's just my 2 cents for you to kind of consider as you make that decision. Thank
Fair
you.
enough. Thank you.
The aspiration of running for public office is always amazing. Anybody that does that, I encourage them to get involved, but that can also be used for the person that can take this and they could actually run again in 2 years. So technically, nobody really understands the dynamic of this. I think, ultimately, this is the great thing about democracy, where this council is going to make a decision, a very sad decision, because look, by all means, I love Council Muscat, and I think we all love Council Muscat. It's a huge loss, detriment to get your sorry, my mic was closed, but the good news is I think the decision made by this body, I think it's to make sure that the city is continuing to move forward. Nobody with special interest, nobody with, with an agenda. And ultimately, I think that's what it comes back down to. The aspiration of being elected in November or in 2 years, that can swing either way, because then it can become a disadvantage for somebody who wants to run in 2 years. So that argument, I feel like, is a little flawed, just in my personal opinion. But that's just how I feel. Go ahead, Mr. Abdul. Thank you.
Next up, city street name, please.
Good evening, Zoya. 354 Rosemary, Dearborn Heights.
I have the papers. Stop in
One quick second.
I'm gonna respect his time.
We don't have their, I don't know, somebody took them out, so.
It's okay, it will not take 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, first, I want to wish my dear friend Ray Muscat the best, and I hope he recovers, because I spoke to him on Saturday and I understand exactly why he resigned. And I hope everybody understands that his health comes before anything else. And he's the most honest, the most passionate person I have met in my life. And I wish him the best, him and his wife and his family. I want to speak about claims 48, 49. I spoke last time and I asked, please follow the charter and everything we do, so we don't have any lawsuits or any misunderstanding. 49, the lawyer, Mr. Shank, is submitted a bill over $5,000. It said 1 page out of 4. All I see is 1 page out of 4. I don't know what he's applying for. I don't understand. What did he serve the city? It puzzles me that the man who served the city council when the forensic audit was done, then he represented a contractor who was doing business with the city. Then he represented the mayor in another case. And I don't know what is he doing for the city. It looks to me like we have a super lawyer. I hope we pay attention to all these, and for the treasurer, do not pay anything unless you have the backup. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm speaking as the treasurer this evening. Right now.
Still 2 minutes.
I'm on the agenda items. I want to address the current claims briefly. Just want to remind council members that we are governed and we're sworn by oath to uphold the charter. In charter section 8.9 warns how drawn shall not be drawn and when. I'm just going to go right through it because we've talked about it many times. This is one thing, before I sign any check, I make sure we're compliant with. The last sentence that I want to read to you is very important to the current claims and what you just had residents share with you, which, by the way, is public information. Okay, you can find the charter online. You can find the claims online. It's very public. It says each invoice shall be approved by the official incurring the expenditure. So again, I want you to make sure, like I need to make sure, that those invoices are signed by the incurring department head. Now, if that person who's in that position decides to have someone else authorized to sign invoices for their department, then we need to communicate that effectively. So that's what I wanted to tell you, and I know that it's already been mentioned, the two invoices in question. And I agree about the backup, because I don't have the backup right now. And I think it's really important, and you're setting a precedent here this evening. So I think that's very important for you. The only other thing I have is 9C on agenda, council chair. Respectfully, when it comes to that item, may I speak on it and share at that time?
Sure.
Versus now? Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hello, council members. Bilal Hamoud, Outer Drive. I just want to comment on agenda item 9A, share my appreciation for the years of service that Councilman Ray Muscat has given to the city. I've had a lot of long conversations with him, and it's clear his heart's always been in the right place. And so just echoing the sentiments that have been shared today, and also the hundreds that have been shared online, that you're appreciated, Ray. And we're thankful for your service, and we're wishing you all the best. So just wanted to share that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Good evening, Hassan Bassi, Sheehan Drive, Dearborn Heights. I want to comment on 9A again. I mean, Ray Muscat will be missed. He was a great council person. He was advocate all the time for the people of the city. I had personal issues. You call him, he's always there. We're thankful for all of you as well. Allow me to say this on behalf of many of the Arab American community in the city of Dearborn Heights. The least I could say, or we could say to Ray Muscat, shukran in Arabic, which is mean thank you. Ray was a great man, great councilman. He will be missed, and he's been a very good friend to my family, to me personally, to all of us. I wish him on my behalf, my family's behalf, and all my friends in the Arab American community. And allow me to say on all the people of the city of Dearborn Heights, thank you again for Ray Muscat, and thank you.
Anybody else with a comment? Anybody else with a comment on an agenda item in the audience? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and go next to fund transfers and current claims.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the current claims and ACH wire transfers 6-1 through 6-96 as submitted.
Second. Okay, motion made by Councilman Baydoun and seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion? I have a discussion item. I spoke, it's ironic that multiple members came up in the audience and spoke about this, but these were pulled out by myself, item 648 and 649. And I had a discussion in regards to them on the specifics with our corporation counsel. I asked him for permission, even though he gave the answer, and I looked at the data myself, my own eyes, to my satisfaction. But out of fairness, I said to him, I'm going to bring this up again during the council meeting, and I'm going to allow the corporation counsel to go into the details of this. I do agree with some members of the audience. Yes, backup should be there. But in this particular case, there's some extenuating circumstances. It's why they're not, and I'll leave it up to the corporation counsel, Roger Farinha, to explain it again to the audience. I know it's a cleaned up version, because I know some things you can't share. I get that. But the version that you can share, please share it with the audience.
Certainly, yes. We have a new attorney we brought on, young attorney, Hussein Saad. We started, we introduced in February a way of tracking our arraignments at Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which had not been done before. In other words, we were making offers or reviewing all the files prior to the arraignment, allowing us to make offers at the beginning stage of a case and resolve it so it doesn't carry on, get adjourned, or go to pretrial. We had over a 65% success rate since we initiated that, and we've tracked the data on that. We also went to, when Gary left in May, we started documenting the Tuesdays and Thursdays dockets. Like for instance, we're keeping track of our resolution on cases and holding ourselves accountable. We also introduced tracking our ordinance resolutions. Now, ordinance is interesting, and I think it's one of the most important parts of the court because that's where the citizens interact with the judges, with the attorneys. By tracking all this data, we've been looking forward to try to see when the officers issue tickets, if it's domestic violence, auto theft, how we resolve it and we craft with the judges a solution with the citizens. Are we able to reduce crimes in certain areas and what's the effect of our policies and procedures holding ourselves accountable? So that's all put in numbers, and we're tracking our numbers and our data for you. I showed Council Chair the numbers that we go back from February, the months, like we had 187 cases in one month, 285 in another month that we've processed through and gone through. We also noticed we're missing a lot of citizens coming to court that have gotten tickets. How do we alleviate that? How do we get the notices out in a better format? We're tracking it. Our attorney gives the basic summary of the work that he does, but we have a lot of visions for our courts and as we prepare to go forward and things that have not been done before February of this year that we've implemented. Again, I think if we can do that and do the numbers, I think that's.
So 3 quick statements on that. One, and your answers were to my satisfaction, especially after looking at the report with you. But I still think there should be backup in these packets. I think it's definitely a better, more transparent way to go. The second question I had for you is, and then the third one would be a statement. Who's Anna? Unless I'm reading this wrong, the person that okayed this to be paid. Who's the name that's on there? It looks like an Anna, but I don't know who Anna is.
It's probably our controller and our HR, a controller that does all the bills with Mariana.
District Court.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody from District Court? Okay. And then the last statement, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room because some of the concerns, and I got calls from some residents, that possibly this was used for other items other than what me and yourself talked about in the reports. So I'm just trying to get you to say a public statement here. The fees that were paid here, the lawyer fees that were paid here, the 5280 and the 5427, were not used for anything else above and beyond what you just explained today. Is that
No, attorneys that work for me just at the court, we're just focusing on court business. Like I said, we've expanded our role in the court business and tracking it. So we have our data and our backup for it.
But I think we still, like I mentioned earlier, still should have the backup. So this way,
Yes.
these questions don't come up at least. Okay. Thank you, Roger.
I got a question.
Councilman Baydun and Councilman Constant.
And thank you, Roger, for answering that for us, but I'm no attorney by any means, but I still believe that there's somewhat of a conflict of interest with this invoice ending in 1331, with the 10% off of 5427. It just doesn't look good amongst our body, amongst this administration, amongst this council, when we have Mr. Shank representing the city at a capacity, but also representing at a privately through some people in the city.
I have not used Mr. Shank working with me, but I will look into it and see. I've not worked with him. I don't have all we check with the different firms we use, but yes. But I'm not working with him on the court side. That's what the initial question I thought I was answering.
No, the question is that he's also like, he was the attorney for the Issa brothers. So he's worked in the capacity of one side of the attorneys, one side, and now the city is also using them for different services.
I will look into it. I've not had any interaction with Mr. Shank per se, except on some other issues.
And then my next question is with Saad LLC. I know he's been doing, great work in the city. My next question is, nothing is, timestamped. I know you went over it with the councilman or the council chair, but it's putting me in a tough decision to make these yeses, with no backup or no information. I mean, it's still 5280. It's $5,280. It's a lot of money.
Are you asking, I just read to you the data that we're working on, what work he's doing. Is that what your question
No, my
is?
question was like the timestamp of what you're paying him here for. Are you paying him from,
We have the timestamps. I have every date that he's worked. I have every date from February.
I understand, what's this bill from, the what date is it from?
Well, every month we have a bill and Mariana stamps it and then it's entered into the record.
Okay, I just for,
Yeah, and we track it from every day.
I know, so what I'm asking is maybe when you give this back to us, like, had there just been a date, same time, like, hey, this is from July 1st to August 22nd, or this is from August 1st to, you know, just so that we have a clarity of what we're paying him for, that's all.
Yeah, yeah, his bills are very particular with the date and times and stuff. So we'll make sure that you see that. We're transparent.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Costa.
And just to dovetail on what the city attorney said, the indigent criminal defense, they've been doing it in Dearborn for several years. It saves the city a lot of money because if somebody's in custody, they plead at the arraignment, it's worked out, they get an attorney appointed with state funds, then that case is resolved. And so it's one case off the court docket. It's not somebody who has to sit in jail. It's a new bond law that not many people do, but sit in jail, costing the city so much money every day.
And the state auditors are looking at that now. Can we solve the court cases with NDIC earlier? And that's why we implemented this in February. I think it's been very successful.
It saves a lot of money.
Okay. All right,
Council Chair,
anything else? Councilman Wenzel.
thank you. Councilman Baydun brought up some good points that I wasn't aware of. Also, what our treasurer mentioned, that these invoices should be signed by the department head. And one person said it was Anna and another person said it was Mariana. I mean, is that the same person?
You're asking me who signs it? I came
You said
in, I changed it.
Mariana.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but I do know that how all the system that's in place, and I've talked to Madam Treasurer, and actually to address the issue, and I've sent an email to Madam Treasurer that we're gonna have a meeting, because I haven't changed anything since I came in with this aspect of it. I've been following the procedures that's been done for the last several years. But in addressing the issue and what the resident raised, we are having a meeting with our controller, our treasurer, chief of staff, to resolve this issue, make sure we're following the charter, as she correctly raised. And that meeting will help give you some feedback on the structure. I haven't touched anything, but I've touched a lot of stuff, but I haven't touched this yet. We'll take a look at it.
Council Chair, I would like to have items 648 and 649 removed and presented to us again with the proper backup. I mean, I'm not against paying these bills, but Councilman Baydun said we don't know when these services are performed. Because recently we've got some invoices for services performed a year ago recently, and we don't know when these services were for, what they were for. I know he said Corporation Counsel was mentioning all kinds of things, which I had, no idea what he was saying. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm sure it's very important. But to have proper backup, like all the other items in our claims, I think we should set these aside for this meeting and bring them up at the next meeting with proper backup.
Well, in terms of your question, they do have the dates on them, and you have to define what proper backup is. If I've given you a list of all the accounts and the dates, and if you want this entire document, we can do that to you. I would not stop from paying firms that have done the work already. And nothing's done in bad faith or trying to hide anything. We're totally transparent, but I think it's bad faith to try to say, well, we don't know the date. The dates are here. July 31st, and the other is May 1st. If you need more backup than what you have here, we'll get that for you. It's not a problem.
I'm sticking by my recommendation, Council Chair.
That's how we voted on. Go ahead, Councilman.
Roger, I'm sorry, Mr. Shank, what was his work? What did he do for $6,030 with 10% off?
It depends. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Schenken. It depends on what we're doing in terms of our water bills. I mean, I know they handle a lot of our water and different lawsuits that we have currently, and we can put that together for you. If that's
So are they hired by the city now?
I believe they are used by the city, yes. I believe so, yes.
Is this reset?
No, it's been for a while, before I came on board.
Okay, so if we're gonna go with Councilman Wenzel's recommendation, Councilman Bedun, you'll have to amend your motion.
Well, I mean, see if
Unless there
there's
was
any
any
discussion.
other-
I would support Councilman Wenzel's suggestion.
Okay. Do you want, are you in agreement?
Council Chair, I'll amend my motion with removal of 6-48, 6-49.
Okay, so.
Actually, Council Chair, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm okay with leaving side law on here. I know that he has been doing the work. So I'm okay with 6-48. I need, I guess, clarity on what's going on with 6-49.
Council Chair, I mean, let's be fair, across the board, Councilman Baydun. I mean, we need the backup for both. I mean, we can't just.
Okay, I agree. Go ahead.
Okay, yes.
Well, I like the idea that the city attorney mentioned of approving the billing with, the city attorney tells us he'll get us the backup, and then future billing will have the detail. But for the Michigan Indigent Criminal Defense administering that, that's just pro forma. Maybe it wasn't stated on the invoice and it should have been, but Councilman, that aspect of it.
Well, the backup has been sent to administration, sent to.
You don't have that.
I don't turn it over, but I do, it has been sent in already, so.
Okay. All right, so the motion's on the floor to approve the fund transfers by Councilman Bedun with the exception of 6-48 and 6-49.
Be removed.
To be removed until backup is given. Councilman Constant, you still second that?
Yes, refer back to the administration for some backup on 48, 49.
Okay, so you second that?
Yes.
Okay. So motion made by Councilman Bedun with the amendment, seconded by Councilman Constant. Any other discussions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item 8A, reports from mayor.
Council Chair, I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council grant permission to St. Linus Festival Bike and Blade Parade on Friday, September 8th, 2023 at 5 p.m. as outlined in 8-8.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad, seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9A, Councilman Ray Muscat resignation.
Council Chair,
Councilman
I
Baby.
look for you to
Council.
read this one.
Council Chair,
Me too.
Council Chair, we have 9. We have 8B.
I'm sorry?
9B.
We have 8B, we have an add-on.
Okay, 8B is the add-on, was the one that was added on last second.
The resolution.
What I'm gonna do is, whoever's gonna be reading this particular motion, if you do me a favor, read the resolution, so at least people in the audience can see it, or hear it at least.
Are you serious? The whole thing?
You know what, just for, at least for transparency, before we vote on this, before the motion's made, I'm gonna go ahead and read this, so at least everybody in the audience is aware of this. And this was for the advantage of the city that we had to put this on last second. It's an email from Nicole Horn of Wade Trim. Hi, Lynn, I'm sending you a resolution. I'm gonna speak a little bit faster so I can go through this. Hi, Lynn, I'm sending you a resolution document for the city council meeting tonight. That's for a grant that the city is applying for due on August 31st. I have attached Mariana, which is the chief of staff, to this email, as I've left her a voicemail and an additional email, and have included Wayne Hoffman in this email as well. Please give me a call, blah, blah, blah. And this came in later tonight, just before the council meeting. We're going into a council meeting at 4 o'clock. This came in at 3:39, so obviously we have very little time. Justification. The Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity announced the availability of up to $60 million in community centers grant program funds for Michigan municipalities and organizations to expand programming or work on capital projects. These grants build on Governor Whitmer's Make It in Michigan strategy to win projects, invest in people, and revitalize places with 2 places of grants available, program grants and capital project grants. Applicants may apply for both grants, but the total request for one organization cannot exceed $2.5 million. The deadline to apply is August the 31st. The City of Dearborn Heights Parks and Recreation Department wishes to submit a Michigan Community Centers grant application requesting $2,125,884,000. So $2,125,884 for capital improvements and programming activities at the Campfield Community Center and Richard A. Young Recreation Center. Capital investments at the Campfield Community Center will include, but not be limited to, new flooring and updated meeting spaces, kitchen enhancements, and new windows, roofing, along with top heating and cooling units, an emergency generator, new gym vinyl flooring, storage room expansion, and repavement of the parking lot. Capital investments at the Richard A. Young Recreation Center will include, but not limited to, new saunas, a new whirlpool, kitchen enhancements, new ceramic flooring in the locker room, an emergency generator, and new tennis courts with an expansion of the newer gym. Program funding will support the activities of the Parks and Recreation Department at the Campfield Center. The City of Dearborn Heights is committing $375,156, which is 15% matching funds towards the project. Council action. This council communication is for the informational purposes only of the resolution to be adopted. And I will leave the resolution to be adopted to be read by the council member that makes the motion. So,
Council Chair.
you got an idea. Councilman.
I move that the City of Dearborn Heights Council authorizes the Parks and Recreation Department to submit a Michigan Community Centers grant application to the Department of Economic Opportunity in the amount of $2,125,884 for capital improvements and programming activities at the Campfield Community Center and Richard A. Young Recreation Center. Do I got a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair, I would like the councilwoman to have that second.
Okay, Councilwoman Breyer, second on that. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
just out of curiosity, was this grant located or found by the Wade Trim Scout program that? Yeah, good deal, good deal. All right, thank you. I was curious about that.
Thank you. And I'd like to give the mayor or somebody from his administration, Mr. Deeb, if you don't mind, if you could give at least your perspective on this. And our recreation director, Action Jackson.
Councilman, so the short answer is yes. So this is part of the citywide effort to try to find alternative funding for it. So what we've done is we've identified the needs at various departments, came up with a capital improvement, which was horrendously expensive. I think it's $300 million push list, but they're all needed, justified. There are things that are capital improvement, like the roof replacement and additional tennis courts, but there are things that were essential as well, like heating, ventilation, air conditioning, roof replacement. That's essential. And we also added the two warming center generators because we don't have centers, emergency centers in the city, whereby you can have full redundant power in case of a power outage, summer or winter, and provide heating and cooling places. So we have one at the Ray and working with our Campfield. So that's, So that's basically the backup and how they came up. But so we keep an eye open. Our consultant keeps an eye open on any possible funding opportunities and match them to our needs. So that's how we apply.
Just to get this straight now for the Richard A. Young Center, we're applying for this grant to help pay for a generator for there, because I know when we had that power outage, I know Richard A. Young Center was like an ideal place because it has a kitchen, it has shower facilities and everything, but it didn't have a backup generator. So we couldn't put our people in there even when they had regular power, just in the event that they lost power.
So we
That's a
identified.
great idea.
So working with the director, we identified the locations that will benefit the most, and then decided. So evaluated the facility to see if we can actually do it. I mean, some of the older ones, like I think Eaton had boilers that That's not, that's, you have a lot more work to do. And, there's no HVAC system. You have to update that first before you can back it up with electric generators. So these are the two locations.
That is my question. Mr. D, by the way, I want to give you some kudos. Your hands are everywhere. You're going for attention, 180 square miles. This man is really doing a great job. I'm looking forward to applause. Aside from the kudos, this is still a job that you've sworn to take on, and I thank you for that. And you really are going above and beyond. But another question is going to be the Ian Center. Will we receive any money of this to the Ian Center? I know we just had the discussion about, real quick, about what's going on with the toilets, what's happening with the sinks. Will we be able to use any of that money towards that?
That grant is for community centers, so the answer is no. However, the CDBG department is actually giving a lot of funds to help with the Eaton Center and the Bowen Center, and they have one out to bid for the bathrooms already. So they're currently out to bid, so we're moving. now.
Bathrooms and sinks?
Yes, the
Thank
whole 9 yards. It's
Thank you.
one whole big project.
Thank you.
Council Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Council Chair. Director, I didn't, for Canfield, I didn't see the marquee in here. Is it possible to have it covered by this grant or?
Actually, that wasn't put in the grant because I think I might be able to figure out how to do it with my budget.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just keep in mind one thing though, the more we can use capital projects with grant money, the more money that we can free up on our end to do things that we like to do. I mean, I don't like to advertise that, but that's the truth. So our budget is limited. We try to get more
The reason I was asking is I know it's very important
So
for the
that
director.
goes for Eaton too, because if I can free up some budget money for.
I want to tell you, Mr. D, before you got here, before you even worked for the city, and I was on council, John Salome, he told me he was going up for specs on these bathrooms. I mean, these bathrooms have been going on for 3 years, at least since I've been here, so I can't tell you how much longer.
They're gonna have high specs.
Okay, but I just want to clarify, just in case it's not as clear to some members of the audience, we're applying for a grant, so we've not been approved for this money. This money's not with us yet.
Hold on.
We're applying.
So we do stand a good chance of getting it, but your support as elected officials is needed. So when we ask for resolution, it's basically so that the grant agencies understand that
That
you
we're
are the
supporting
elected
that.
official and you support what we're trying to do.
Okay. Any other discussion items? Okay, we have Director Sanjamal. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, there it goes. First of all, regarding the Eaton Center, it's already out for bid. It's a complete revamp, replacement, ADA certified bathroom. We're expecting the bids to be back by September 6th, and October will be the target to finish those bathrooms. It's under my project management team. So I put my fingers in it, it's gonna happen. So no discussion about that. Regarding, I encourage you to please approve the infrastructure. It is a unique grant by the state of Michigan that where I can't use other federal grant because of eligibility status. The governor and the state introduced this grant recently. It's a new vision of the state. I like what they are doing, and I encourage you to really, support this because of where the money is gonna go, I cannot support. I cannot find federal grant to support non-low, moderate income area or residents. So this is very important. It was advertised not long ago, and everybody is really pushing to get a portion of that grant. It's competitive. I hope we will work together and get some money for that. And I encourage you also to write personal letters as council members to support this grant and use whatever you can of your political clout to advocate for Dearborn Heights to get money for Richard Young Center and the Canfield Center because this particular guy is unique.
Okay,
That's it. Thank you very much.
thank you.
I have one last question, Mr. D. I know that the Canfield Center, a lot of the times when we ask, why don't we rent it out as a gymnasium, the floors are not, gym floors. Will we be able to use actual gym floors instead of those vinyl floors that we're anticipating to put on?
Well, it's not a regulation size gym to begin with, just so you know. You could put a wood floor in there, but it's not conducive to what you want to use it for.
Not that what I want to use it, but I'd like the community to be able to use it. I think long-term, it's much better. So I think if we go with the vinyl, as soon as, you have a little bit of water with the floors, they expand. I mean, we've seen that. So I mean, I think it's, you do the job once, you do it right, you no longer have to do it again.
And as far as exactly what we're going to do and what materials we're putting in there, we haven't actually even talked about that. We just wanted to get through the gates to get the grant out, which took a lot of time too.
Okay, only because it was in the verbiage.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and take, unless is there any additional items? Okay. So let's go ahead and take this to a vote. Motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilwoman Breyer.
Councilwoman Breyer.
Right?
Yes, that's it.
All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is item 9A, Councilman Ray Muscat resignation.
Council Chair, you're gonna go ahead and read this resignation for us?
Well,
The second should come from Councilman.
it'd be my honor. First of all, well, let me go ahead and read it. And this is a difficult one to read, honestly, because I like Councilman Ray Muscat quite a bit, and I think he's done a remarkable job on council, but let me go ahead and read that. This is a motion that the Dearborn Heights City Council accept the resignation of Councilman Ray Muscat effective August 21st, 2023, is outlined in item 9A.
Second.
Okay, motion made by myself and seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. I do want to make it just a short statement, not a written statement. I'm just going to speak from the heart. Before I got on council 8 years ago. And prior to that, trying to come to all the city councils, I came for about a year to city council, sat in the chairs that you guys are sitting there. And just want to watch and see, is this something I really want to do before I put myself up for election? And I decided this is something I really did want to do. But one of the people that inspired me quite a bit was Councilman Ray Muscat. And when I found out from him one day talking with him, he said he's been coming to the council meetings. Now he was running at council, myself and him at the same time. So we're kind of, if you want to call it, sort of competitors, but not necessarily, because whatever God wills will happen. So I was talking with him. I said, yeah, how long have you been coming to council meetings? And I'm all proud of my 1 year of coming to council meetings so I can learn the ins and outs of the council. And he says, well, how long have you been coming for? And I said, well, I've been coming here for a year. He says, I've been coming here for 19 years. And I want to say, man, you got to get a life, man. 19 years coming to council meetings just for whatever it is. But what that showed me is how passionate he was about the city council and the city that he lives in, how serious he was about this, and how much his heart was in it. And that's something you can't buy, you can't make up, you can't create. You either have it or you don't. People a lot of times have asked me, how do you think about serving on the council with Councilman Muscat? I can tell you right now, I know I'm saying this publicly, but I'll straight up say I don't care. Every time I walked into that voting booth, that gentleman had my vote. Because you know what? He really did care, and he really was serious about this. He's very knowledgeable, very experienced. This is a major loss for the city. I can tell you guys right now. It's a major, major loss for the city, because what he brought forward is somebody that went through the packet, that did his homework, made the calls. Sometimes it's a little louder than I'd like him to be. But you know what? They showed his passion for this. I'm going to tell you something. I didn't always agree with him. There's a lot of times I didn't agree with him. There's a lot of times I thought he was nuts. Okay? But guess what? He was coming from a good background, and he really believed in what he was saying. So he didn't have no agenda on him. He didn't have no political clout or circles or anything like that. All he cared about, because I've had a lot of conversations with him in the background, is about the residents. So to me, he's got my salutes. I wish him nothing but the best of health. I did call him. He tried to resign the last time because of health reasons. And I called him. I said, BS, you're not resigning. And I had a long conversation with him and convinced him to stay on. But unfortunately, his health situation is requiring this, and this is something we all have to respect. So no, this time I did not go hard on him to convince him to stay because obviously he owes it to himself, to his family to do this. So I, for one, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of all of the council members and the city and the mayor and the administration, Councilman Ray Muscat, you'll always be Councilman Ray Muscat in my heart. Thank you and appreciate everything you've done.
I don't even think that, we can even say anything after what you just said, but, if Councilman Muscat is at home listening, just know that that seat will always be your seat. You'll always be Councilman Muscat. We wish you the best of health. This was also very tough on me, since you've supported me since the beginning of my journey. And I remember when I first introduced myself, his words verbatim was, "Who the hell are you?" And, I ended up telling him I'm Rashid Beydoun's brother. He said, "Well, he's a very involved guy. Why are you running? Why isn't it your brother?" And the tables have turned. My brother is no longer involved, and here I am on council. But, Ray has always been supportive. I appreciate him. I love you, Ray. And take care of yourself. Take care of your wife. Take care of Bo the dog. And spend a lot of time with family, Ray. God bless you.
Thank you, Ray. Councilman Constant.
And just to echo what both Council Chair and Councilman Beydoun said, I enjoyed Ray's company for probably 15, 20 years. And I think we all agree, very passionate about protecting the taxpayers, about his city, about speaking up. And he spoke from the heart. He really has a passion for the city. I do know that his health, I told him he wants to be around for his daughter and for his grandchildren, and that we'll miss him. But we respect his decision, and I hope to be talking to him for a long time to come.
Thank you.
Council Chair.
Yeah, I just want just a quick second, just two things before I forget. Two things I really respect about Councilman Muscat, and that's a difficult one for a lot of us to do. One, and despite he's got a high ego, he really believes in himself, and he should. But when he doesn't know about something, he would always say it publicly. You know what? I don't know this stuff, so I'm not going to comment on that. I have no clue on this stuff. I'm not an attorney, or I'm not a this, or I'm not a police officer. And I always respected him for that. But something I really respected him for is something that my parents always taught me is to admit when you're wrong. And as you guys know, many times on council, he would say, hey, and he'd bring it up. We would not even be talking about that particular subject. He'd say, Council Chair, can I say something? Yeah, go ahead. He'd talk about something he voted on 2 weeks ago that we've all forgotten. And that's why I'd say that I voted yes on that vote, and I was wrong, and I apologize to the residents. That takes a strong, strong human being to do that, and I always respected him for that. So thank you, Councilman. Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you, Council Chair. This is actually really, really hard. I'm not sure if we even can vote no on this, Council Chair. I mean, I know I almost, oh yes, oh yes. I mean, vote no on it. I mean, almost the 2 years I shared with Councilman Muscat. I mean, I learned so much from him. I used to call him, he's the dean of the council the whole time, but it's really hard, but he is in my prayer. I hope you guys keep him in his prayer, in your prayers. And I want to thank you for the years of service, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Chair. Ditto to what everyone said. And I just have one little story. When I was elected to city council 6 years ago, he come up to me, he says, I didn't know who the hell you were. He says, Tom Woods, never heard of him. He said, but I look back and see now in the south end of Dearborn Heights, everything you're doing. He said, I got one word of advice for you. He says, and live by this. He said, if I bring something to city council and I need your support and you vote no, he says, good for you. You're voting the way you think you should vote. I would never hold that against you. And I still go by that today. Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
I guess that's. Councilman Ahmad also has a marketing team. We tell them, don't.
Council Chair.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I might as well add on too. Ray's come to many of our neighborhood meetings and he's always been there when I had questions. And I'm deeply going to miss him.
Don't be surprised if Ray's not at the next city council meeting, sitting in the audience, guys. And if you still need something, you can still call Ray. I promise. He can still make the same moves that he did on council.
Wish you the best of luck, my friend. So if that being the case, any other comments on this? And look, let me make something clear for us as council members. This is very odd. I mean, we're accepting the resignation, which almost implies like we are okay with him being out of here. And there were days where maybe I wish that he was out of here, but obviously we're doing this for the best of his health. Okay, this is, you guys have no idea how difficult of a decision this was for him. I had to talk with him about this. So this is for the best of his health. This is not us approving him leaving the council. It's the realities of life, unfortunately. So with that being the case, I think this to a vote.
Council Chair, I can't vote yes on this without acknowledging the brains of the operation over there, Lisa Muscat.
Oh, no doubt.
His wife.
No doubt.
Council Chair, I just got one other question. What if we all voted no?
That's what I said. No, we're receiving.
Okay. Well, we're not receiving it. You have to accept the resignation. So technically you are voting on either accepting or denying his resignation. The resignation is not received, voting,
Receive his resignation.
Okay. Well,
I'm just asking if a hypothetical, well, let's see what happens on this vote.
Well, Madam Clerk, would like to comment on that? Okay. Corporation Council? No. You want this tomorrow? You want to handle it? So let's go ahead. So all in favor, please state aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
You had to do this to me.
Let's refer this back to
Hold
the
on,
ministry.
please. All the way to do this.
Dave Abdallah,
Yes.
Tom Wenzel,
Yes.
Robert Constant,
Yes.
Nancy Breyer,
Yes, unfortunately.
Hassan Ahmad,
No.
Moby Dun.
No.
What we got? 4-2, motion carries.
Okay. Thank you,
I'm
Councilman.
gonna let Marie know how you guys voted.
Okay. Next up, and this is to clarify, this is by Clerk Senior in regards to the council vacancy publication, and she put out a pamphlet basically stating what's gonna happen next, et cetera, et cetera. But we're gonna go ahead and go for vote on that. Item 9B.
Council Chair.
We'll go Councilman Constant.
Nancy Breyer wants to make this motion.
All right, I'd like to make the motion that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the council vacancy publication to be submitted to the Dearborn Press and Guide for the council vacancy left by Ray Muscat as outlined in 9B.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Breyer, seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
just asking, why are we only choosing one source of,
Application.
yeah.
That's the city's legal publication. We can reach out. I mean, it'll be on social media and we'll put it on our website.
That's
as
what I
well.
mean. So you will have it on the
Oh, yeah,
website.
yeah,
and You'll have it, okay.
Yeah, and I talked to, I'm sorry, I talked to Director Cooper before here and he said he can put a flash on our website and we can put it on the city council page as well as the main page.
And for those in the audience, maybe they have not read the clerk's memo that was put out. I'm gonna use an abbreviation of this, just so at least a lot of you are aware. Filling vacancies in effective office, when a vacancy, this is per the charter. When a vacancy occurs in any effective office, the vacancy shall be filled by an appointment by a majority of the city council of a qualified person who shall serve until the vacancy is filled by election at the next general city, state, or national election for the unexpired term of office or until his or her successor shall be elected and qualified. This appointment expires December 31st, 2023, which is the date of this term expiration. In order to be considered for the vacancy, you must be a 2-year resident of Dearborn Heights, registered voter of the city of Dearborn Heights. You need to prepare a letter of interest stating the reasons you should be considered for appointment to the city council, along with a resume, including at minimum educational background, work history, and any public service experience. The letter of interest and resume must be received in the office of the city clerk no later than 3 p.m. on Monday, September 11th. Evaluation will consist of a maximum of 5-minute presentation by the applicant to the council at a meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 19th at 6 p.m. And a vote will be taken by the regular Dearborn Heights City Council meeting at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, September 26th. Thank you.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
is that a charter thing or, because I know in the past, if there was a motion put on and seconded and approved by 4 or more council members, they would approve. I believe the late Mayor Dan Paleka was appointed in such way when he became mayor. Is this?
What are you asking?
The recommendation of?
This is of this particular.
Yes, is that just a
filling of the
recommendation?
vacancy?
That's not actual.
It's a recommendation. That's
Okay,
right.
it's
That
a
is the
recommendation.
last, there's nothing that says, this, but I want to say the last 6 years at least, this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
how the
correct.
vacancies have been.
Correct.
You're right.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and take this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda, item 9C, Treasurer Hicks Clayton.
Council Chair,
But
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council authorize the reopening of the Dearborn Federal Savings Bank account, general fund, water, and tax account as outlined in 9C.
Second.
okay, motion made by Councilman Baydun and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
are these 3 different accounts that we've closed, or is this just one account that's general fund, water, and tax account?
Okay, so I spoke with the treasurer on this and I asked her to come up and speak, just give an abbreviation on this. And most importantly, with the controller, which I was in, if you recall, one of the concerns I had, it said as long as the controller is comfortable with that, we'll have her come up later. But go ahead.
Councilor King, would you come up and join me? To answer your question, Councilman, the motion 23235, the council adopted the resolution to close the tax bills collected at Dearborn Federal Savings Bank and the water. There's actually 3 accounts, which I had mentioned at that time. There's the general fund, which is a holding account. It's like $658 in balance. It doesn't change. That is so Dearborn Federal Savings Bank would be a remote collection site for our residents for tax and water payments. It gave us 2 other locations in the north end and the south end that offered 5-day-a-week service for our residents to come pay their water and taxes. When the council adopted that resolution on May 17th, that forced us to no longer take those payments. They could not do it or they would not do it. We have been inundated. And I don't know if you've got calls, but Treasury, we had people standing in line, coming to the window upset about it. We had phone calls, we had emails. And the primary thing that I want to talk about, and I think Comptroller King, I encourage you to join me in this conversation. We've talked about this. We've had a conversation. Your concern with closing accounts was basically the reconciliation with the general ledger. That was the primary concern. These accounts, really, that's not effective or not the problem or the concern, right? These are in and out counts, is what I call them. In and out. Money comes in, they make a payment, comes in, goes right out. You take care of it, goes right to your Comerica water tax. Done. Clean, easy. So reconciliation is not the issue. Okay, the process is not an issue. But what the issue became, because we were premature in closing those, based on the resolution, is we cut off a service to our residents. And in particular, and then a lot of the calls came from our south end residents. I know we're one city, but north and south end is a thing. And our south end residents in particular, our senior citizens, were very upset. Very upset. They were now forced to drive because they don't, we got kiosks, that's great. You got online payment, you got the phone app, But that's not what they want to do. They want to come in person, have a cashier or a teller help them in person and get their bill stamped and get their receipt. And now they're forced to drive up Telegraph, which by the way is a safety concern is what I've heard. I'm sure we're all familiar with Telegraph. And so that's what we've created by closing these accounts that was not necessary. And I just want you, because we talked, I don't want to speak for you.
I concur with what Lisa is requesting right now.
You concur, I'm tired.
She concurs with Lisa.
I concur with the treasurer.
Okay, so the question I had for you, Treasurer, when I spoke with you today is, how many spots are available, including City Hall, which would be one, obviously, available to a resident to be able to pay in person? And I get the thing about where there's still people that still prefer to pay face to face. I get that. We have to respect that, of course. So face to face, excluding kiosks, how many places are there for people?
One, City Hall,
That's it.
City Hall. And again, that's 4 days a week.
Okay, but that's it, just City Hall.
That's it. You
Okay.
have kiosk, that's not a person.
No, I
You
get
got
it.
web-based, it's not a person. You know, phone in, it's not a person. I mean, those are all, I mean, not to put people in boxes, but some people, this is what they want to pay by.
No,
They're our residents, we work for them.
no, I get that part. Okay, thank you, Treasurer.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussions on this?
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and take this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9D, City Engineer Dip, Joy Road Water Main Change Order Number 2.
Council Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the Joy Road Water Main Change Order Number 2 for an increase of $149,941.75 in the contract value as outlined in 9D.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Constant, seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
can we have, Director Deeb, or Mr. Deeb come up here and I got a couple of questions for him.
Sure.
Mr. Deeb, if I can understand this, the contractor fixed some water main breaks? Is that-
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
How's that compare with the, I know you can't tell how much it costs when a city worker fixes the break, but is it equal, kind of equal?
It was actually less, but we didn't go down and include salary and benefits, if that's what you think, we didn't include that. But the main reason for doing so is that we asked them to do it. We asked the contractor to do it. We had, last year, we had quite a few water main breaks, and some of them were nearby to his work area, so instead of mobilizing and bringing people in on weekends and stuff, we were overwhelmed. So we asked them to do it. And
Obviously, they're qualified, right?
Oh, they're doing water main installation. So we had the equipment, he had the right material on site. So it was an excellent.
Good idea, good. Thank you.
Just keep in mind though, this is a balancing work order, meaning that at the end of the project, we go out through the quantities and figure out if the bid was 200 square feet and you paid 220 or 219, we balance everything. So our consultant went through and then all the quantities were balanced and that's the end result.
Council Chair.
Mr. Deep, just a question just for my information, like what's the code, like how far the gas line needs to be away from the main? I'm gonna say, I have my project manager here on site. I'm just how far, I believe it was like 6 inches. Like, what's the code? How far it should be?
In this case, the contractors don't like to directionally drill or pipe burst within 3 feet, like 3 feet vertically or horizontally of the existing gas. In this case, when they excavated, it was determined that it actually physically was within 6 inches of the water. So we had to, safety issue, we had to find a different line.
So just so, again, we talked before about the pipe bursting method, where you go inside the pipe and burst it. Well, that creates pressure, lateral pressure on the adjacent area. So if you're close by, especially gas, that's dangerous. 100%.
Council Chair.
Vaughn.
Vaughn.
Ron, that's what it was.
I knew it was Vaughn, but I just wanted to make sure. So I asked the councilman, he wanted to make sure. Vaughn, I will tell you, I know we're still working on that one on Beach Daily. And now we're gonna be working on this one on Joy Road, and I think Joy Road, we're excited for that, and it's something that's much needed. With what you're saying over here with this new Joy Road services, are you gonna be closing down the streets, breaking up the floors, and doing the work that needs to be worked here as well?
So this work on Joy Road has already been completed.
Okay.
It's already done.
Beach
So-
Daily, do we have an update on that one?
Yeah, so Beach Daily, the L42 project, we are within days of opening that road up from north, all the way from Avondale to Cherry Hill.
Okay. And then, are we gonna be doing this? Okay, I'll talk to you at the next one.
Council Chair, there are some punch list items, if that's what you're referring to. There are some punch list items.
Yes, so L42,
Yeah,
on that project, which is a huge project, we currently have a 46-page punch list that we're working through with the contractor to follow up and make sure all of these things are.
and I will tell you, just to speak on a few residents' behalf and my family members, and I'm not gonna shy away from it, my actual family, which I've gotten on the phone with you, Vaughn, about, but it never stopped. There was a constant amount of disrespect from some of these workers. A lot of frustration coming from the residents, feeling that they weren't properly informed, having to have a pregnant woman call me and saying I had to park my car down the street and I had to walk with my groceries. Like, I mean, I just feel like with that, and I get it. I said, guys, it was a lot and they had to get it done, but now it's the fix-ups. Like the resident said, you know, these big pipes were on top of my sprinkler system. And instead of putting the right sprinkler system that I put on, a cheaper $2, $3 piece was put on, or the sod that was fixed on the side was, and I spoke to Mr. Deeb about it. The other side was just throwing seeds. You know, like this was a senior who said, hey, I spent so much time on my grass. How are you gonna allow the city to just throw seeds out there? And it looks like, you know, grubs and whatever it looked like. But I believe he spoke to you on that one, on the gully side.
And so there's a lot that happened, obviously, there's a lot of disappointed folks, there's a lot of happy folks. We've worked through and I've talked to countless numbers of residents and addressed their needs as best as I could. We have addressed all of any rudeness behavior from the contractors. It's been brought up time and time again. We met every week on this project. We're still meeting every week on this project for over a year. And all of these concerns are brought up each week and we push to have them addressed. I have each incident that you referenced, like that address at the corner of building. And
Yeah.
so that I'm happy to sit down and talk to you about all of those.
And Vaughn, I mean, I just want you to know, and I promise you, I can't make this up. There are videos of the contractors swearing at residents. And to me, there needs to be oversight. Like I'm not okay with that. A resident to be sworn by a company that the city's paying top dollars for. Like at the end of the day, it's unacceptable. And I can share those videos with you later on. Where even if there's a back and forth, this is still one of our residents. And so we're going to continue to fight for that.
There's no excuse for that. And on either side, there's no excuse for the contractors to be talked to like that, and no excuse for the contractor to the residents like that. There's no argument.
And look, sometimes, you know, you can have that one or two residents that really kind of goes a little overboard, but it's when you're hearing it so much, if there's smoke, there was fire. And so if it's happening so much, but the good news is the work looks great. Beach Daily looks great. Avondale looks great. And like you said, we're at the final stretches. So
We're almost there.
Just keep in mind too, that we had multiple rain events so far, and that area had zero impact on water quality. We separated again, the intention was to separate sanitary from storm. So all the rest of the stuff that we have, absolutely, I mean, it was an expensive project, but we separated sanitary from storm. We had no sanitary discharge into the roofs. They had no basement floods that I know of. So there are a lot of positives too. So I'm sorry about that, somebody doesn't like the shade of the grass. We will work through this. We have a lot of punch list items. We'll fix that. But again, don't lose track of the big picture. There was a lot accomplished on that project.
and Mr. Deeb did a great job on running on this.
It's not an easy one. That was a very difficult project. But again, people are complaining they have to go, when you replace pavement on the street, no matter what you do, you can't drive on that pavement, on the new pavement until it gets, till it's set.
Okay.
Council Chair?
This has been like, I have to say, this, it has been amazingly difficult for all of those residents. We built their neighborhood while they're in it. And that's a hard thing to do, a hard thing to endure. And the people on Beach Daily, they have got the worst stuff. And so we acknowledge that. And so I've bent over backwards to try to address all of those concerns and make things as easy as possible, alleviate some of that pain. It's hard to catch it and get it all.
Good job. You guys did a great job. Councilman Wenzel?
Yeah, thank you, Council Chair. Just quickly for our residents here in the audience and at home on TV or Zoom, they referenced a punch list several times, just so you doesn't know what that is. It's after a job is complete, the city goes and looks at all the problems they have with the contractor, little issues that have to be taken care of by the contractor before they're paid. That's the punch list. They sent some multiple punches. And why I got you up there, I was asked by several residents if you could give us a real quick analysis or the progress report on the streetlight repairs. Street replacement.
Oh, street replacement. Oh, so we're approaching the end of the contract. So we had a contract with Angels, talk about the sections that we replaced. We are actually negotiating either an extension. So we'll be coming to you in the next meeting. I have that on my agenda. Either an extension, if I can keep the same prices. I'm trying not to, I know what the cost is out in the market now for 7-inch concrete section. And we are enjoying some real good numbers from prior year. If I can get the contractor hasn't agreed to it in writing, but if we're getting close, we're negotiating. I'd like to extend this contract because the prices are good. I can do a lot more with my budget. So we're doing two things this year. More street section replacement, not full replacement. But we also have 5 streets that 5 streets full replacement. Edge to edge, full street.
What about the street light replacement, street lights?
Lights,
which percentage are we done with that?
Finished all of those.
They're all done, completed?
Were we missing stuff? Or?
Well, I had a resident get a hold of me and said that they were wondering when theirs was going to get that. I'll get the address for you.
Please, because we have a contract that includes, so I became aware today of 2 areas where we're having issues with the lights don't stay on or they go on and off. We have a link on the website, and we also have the numbers up if our maintenance is included in the community lighting. So if we're aware of it, it's simple as.
Yeah, I think the residents need to know that if the street light goes out, DTE has to come and replace and do the repair. It's not a city cost.
We have, yes, it's included in our payment, but you also have that link on our website. Now that we have our website updated, I'm going to go and verify that.
All right, we got to wrap this up, gentlemen. All right, so let's go ahead and take this to a vote. Motion by Councilman Constant and seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, if you gentlemen can stay up, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. City Engineer Dib, CSO L41 Design Authorization.
Council Chair,
Councilwoman, go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion that the Dearborn Heights City Council give authorization for Wade Trim to finalize the sanitary storm separation and roadway reconstruction design plans, develop the contract documents, apply for permits, and advertise for construction bids for costs not to exceed $139,200. In addition, authorize the mayor, comptroller, or clerk to sign the necessary warrants, the treasurer to issue payment from the CSO bond bank account to not to exceed $139,200 as outlined in 9E.
Second. Okay, motion made by Councilwoman Breyer and seconded by Constant. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9F, City Engineer Dib, DTE, MI Green Power Rider number 17.
Council Chair.
Councilman Wenzel.
That was me.
Councilman Ahmad.
I sound that good. I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agreement for the Michigan Green Power Program rider between the city and DTE and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement on behalf of the city. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payments as outlined in 9-F.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Bond and seconded by Councilman Breyer. Any discussion?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
this one really interests me.
Technical difficulties. Please bear with us. Who's got a joke? Any good jokes, Mr. D? You might have to. You might need to turn your microphones back on. Did that not even go on? Oh, yeah. Well, it looked like the light turned off. We could put reset. Just need microphone.
Mics are on.
There we go.
Mics are on. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Symbolism.
All right. So, Councilman Tom, what's up?
Okay, thank you, Council Chair.
They can hear.
Okay. Okay, now, my question is, are you doing a presentation?
I'm doing a presentation, if you don't mind, and then you can ask questions.
Okay,
Should we wait for the council chair?
no, we're okay.
You okay?
Or we give this.
I think we're back in
Wait,
business.
hold on. So, according to our video department, they're saying that, they don't have video, they have just audio, and on the recording, we won't have a video. So what I'm gonna do, since you may need a few minutes, but what we'll do is we'll take like a 5-minute break, and so at least give them a chance to fix it. If they can't get it fixed, then we'll go back with just audio only until they get it fixed. So I apologize. We'll take a 5-minute break. Sorry.
Did they do this a few days after your infusion?
I know, right?
All right.
Recording in progress.
All right, I fixed everything, it's working now. We'll go ahead. Got me the big guy. You got out. I'm a handyman. I couldn't even put a nail in the wall, so yeah. Thanks to those that fixed it, Angela specifically, but. Stay happy. Yeah. All right. So Councilman Wenzel, go ahead and ask you a question.
I'm gonna let Ali Deeb do his presentation.
Yeah, so before I start, this is about green power for account for the city of Dearborn Heights. So I have with me two very special people from DTE. They're going to join me making that presentation. Ms. Barbara Wilder and Dan Newman. We're gonna go through it and then hopefully we'll answer any questions or concerns you may have and some explanation of what green
So
power
it's
is.
full-blown presentation?
Well, just a PowerPoint.
Okay, go
It's
ahead.
only a few pages, 2 pages. It's-
Oh, okay. Right, I've seen that.
I just wanted to make sure that.
Oh, okay,
you know,
gotcha, go ahead.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present. This is your mic, please. Yep. This is for the enrollment of the city of Dearborn Heights in the My Green Power program. It is a green energy-based program, opportunity to reduce or eliminate carbon emissions for the city based on electric usage for the city. Essentially, My Green Power is eligible to all 2.2 million DTE electric customers. Currently, we have 91,000 residential customers enrolled in My Green Power and about 1,350 commercial and industrial customers enrolled. Essentially, it is the easiest way to be backed by renewable energy without needing to put any type of panels or wind turbines within city limits, on roofs, poking holes in any type of infrastructure or changing infrastructure in general. DTE invests in renewable energy in rural areas where we can build it at utility scale for extremely cheap. And as you will see in subsequent slides, that not only is this a renewable energy play for the city to eliminate carbon emissions, but there's also financial benefits to it as well. 4 key aspects of the program is number 1, the flexibility. The program is enrollable in 5% increments of someone's total electric usage. Myself at my house, I'm enrolled at 85%, and it saves me about 50 cents a month to be enrolled in My Green Power. What that means is the energy that I consume at home is matched 1-for-1 with renewable energy put onto the grid by the company. Contracts are 5, 10, or 15 to 20 years. Key elements here is these are new renewable energy projects. That is called additionality. So when you're investing in renewable energy, you want to be on the forefront of bringing new renewable energy to the grid. We only build and invest in emissions. So where the emissions occur, where Dearborn Heights uses electricity from, let's say, some coal generation that is currently on grid, we will then build renewable energy, put renewable energy on grid in Dearborn Heights name, retire that renewable energy credit, which has this unique serial number to ensure that there is a 1-to-1 matching, and a report is provided at the end of every calendar year to shore up the usage to the actual credit. This is an example of what an enrollment for Dearborn Heights would have looked like last year. So there is an initial cost to the program on the bill per megawatt hour or kilowatt hour enrolled. However, there is an instantaneous credit that is earned for putting this energy on grid. When we offset those two, there is a net credit that is earned. That net credit comes off of the traditional DTE bill, therefore reducing. The program is fully enrolled through 2026. So we are talking today about the 2026 commencement for the city. This is the forecast subscription fee, the credit, and the overall net savings per calendar year for enrollment in this program. So we extrapolated this out through 2045, which would support a 20-year agreement.
So let me add a few things. So in your packet, we have a list of all the our profile and actually all the facilities. We're not a major user, but we do have quite a few facilities. So this is on behalf of all of the. So we have on page 243 and 244 the list of all the facilities and the percentage enrolled. So it's 85% of all these facilities that we, the city of Dearborn Heights, actually pay the bill for. So this building, all the buildings that we pay billing for. So as Dan explained, not only that this is a net savings for the city, and you can see the projected saving per year is quite extensive, but also, and that's an important thing, when I reviewed this contract, and we went back and forth quite a few times, we have to keep in mind we are constantly looking at venues to try to augment our funding for projects, and we weren't able to claim green anything in the past as a city because we really don't have any green infrastructure of any kind. We do have with this. I'm hoping that I can give that to my scout so I can start claiming green credit because I do need to open up more venues and possibly get something. But this is basically not only it's a green power, it's reducing our carbon footprints. It's making us green. It's 85% of our capacity. It is flexible and it's a good program. You should be able to tell your kids.
Council Chair, Councilman. Thank you, Council Chair. Mr. Deep, sir, ma'am, I mean, I went through it. I love this program. I'm all about renewable energy. I know we're going to be saving money. I know it's a state program that plays a big role here, but again, that's the money back. My question was, so how come we're only going 85%?
Great question. Yeah. So 85% of this program is eligible to be enrolled. The remaining 15%, DTE actually provides in our standard generation base. So we already have 15% of our portfolio renewable base. This will bring you to.
Okay. And another thing that I just noticed, I know we're going to be signing 20 years. I mean, I kept looking at the termination in the default paragraph, but just didn't say what's the penalties, what's the.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So the termination is as such. If you are to voluntarily terminate, that means contacting DTE and say, I am opting out. There is up to a 1-year penalty of the subscription fee times the amount that was enrolled for the previous 12 months. I say up to, that is subjective. If that is a consideration of the city, I would hope that we would have some communications well in advance to prepare for such termination and come to some terms that would be much less than that 1-year penalty. Additionally, that would be waived if there is a customer that is able to backfill the city's capacity that is enrolled in the program. Right now, obviously, we're talking August 22nd, 2023. This program is eligible in 2026. We have 2 years plus of customers in queue waiting. So right now, the termination.
You mean backfill? The city of Dearborn is also looking at the same thing as the same, and they're doing it.
What do you mean by backfill?
Yes, so if there is another customer that is able to take your spot. So currently the city's usage is about 3.9 million kilowatt hours a year. So if another customer who is on that queue to enroll in the program and commence, if they are able to take that 3.9 million kilowatt hours, then we would not.
I think this is a great program. I mean, as is, we're paying for the energy. This is a green energy. We're saving some money. Just thinking out loud. Do you have that number in mind for the 1-year penalty? Do we have it?
I currently do that.
You know,
it would be.
The other reason I ask, I mean, every 4 years the people over here changes. What if in 4 years somebody? Hey, some of us.
I'm not resigning.
So basically, it's exactly how much like our bill for the whole 12 month plus the subscription fee.
In this case, it would be $62 times 3,900 megawatt hours. Doing the rough math, I can pull out my phone and pull out the old calculator. The full termination would be approximately $244,000.
Where's the subscription fee every month?
The subscription fee is the full cost of what it takes to put that energy on grid. So basically, any type of development, land procurement, construction of the project, generation of the energy, all the way through the full life cycle of that renewable energy project to reclamation of land.
So do we have a number for the fee yet, or?
Yes, it's a do not exceed of $62 per megawatt hour. And that is a do not exceed, so it will not go above that.
Okay.
If we can put the energy on grid for less, it will ratchet down, and that is exhibit B in the agreement. Yes, this is Rider 17 is MPSC.
I'm sorry, one more, I'm sorry, before I know we, for some reason, it starts by like 43,000 that we save every year. And in 2028, it goes up to 70,000, then start going down. What's the reason behind that?
Yeah, so the market is variable. This is when the energy is put on grid, it is traded into the energy market. And the variable aspects in some years have a stronger correlation to energy with the value. Other years, and I'll point out, let's say 2034, for example. By the mid 2030s, we're expecting to have additional forms of generation on grid in forms of battery storage, hydrogen coming onto grid, which will devalue the overall credit available, but still far exceeds the actual cost of the megawatt hour. For
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Constant?
It seems like a real popular program. You anticipate pretty much like Dearborn and then all the other cities coming on board?
We are maxed out with conversations right now, hence the 2-year wait list. So our small customer program, any customers that are less than 2,500 megawatt hours, that's an immediate goal. So residents, small businesses are eligible to enroll right now. Like I said, my house is enrolled. It's about 4 to 50 cents a month on savings, depending on how much energy I use with air conditioning. But you can see that with that automatic savings, that the capacity does go quickly. The DT is committed to having multiple renewable energy projects come on grid now through the next 15 years to the tune of about 1,000 megawatts.
And then with electric cars, if and when we ever see them, there'll be a real much greater demand for electricity.
So if the usage goes up, theoretically, the savings will increase.
Thank you.
Council Chair?
Right, Councilman.
I've got like 4 items here. Just to make it clear to me and residents, is this just the program where we buy green energy, renewable energy from some other source? Or is this a program where we can put our own energy sources in and put that into the grid?
Great question. This is off-site. So you are buying into a renewable energy project. You are not changing any infrastructure or building anything on any facilities.
Could we build a facility to generate electricity?
You are able to, and this agreement does not preclude you from doing it.
Okay, because I'm pretty passionate about a project that I've been pushing for. It's a rain retention basin. I think we got like a 30-acre plus area owned by the city. And one of my thoughts was to make it underground, sort of with a cement top on it, and use that for a solar panel field. Is that 32 acres? Is that enough to be significant in generating electricity?
It is significant land, although we develop in the thousands of acres at a time to earn the economies of scale building at utility scale. If you were to pursue a project like that, it would probably result in a capital expenditure of well over $1 million for not much generation at the end of the day. We are building, so your usage is about 3,900 megawatt hours a year. We're building parks that will support about 200,000 megawatt.
So that something like that would make a dent in our city electrical usage?
Every bit helps. I will never say never when it comes to renewable energy. Every It does everything.
Now, if we were to build something, you said that you have contractors that build these solar panel fields, or, I mean, how would that price, if we decide to go along with this, how would that price compare with us hiring a private contractor to do that?
Great question. So right now, the subscription fee here is $62. If you're to pursue it on your own, it would probably be between $100 to $140 per megawatt hour when it's all set. So it's a significant.
Good question. Oh, thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and put this thing to a vote.
Just want to thank, the DTE team. They've been working hard, with us. And also Mr. Khalil Rahal, for bringing this to the table. Several months ago, he reached out and he's really looking after, our city interests. And Barbara, you guys are always there, and especially for the LED lighting, for them bringing up that, to save about $30,000 a month for the city lighting. And that's just not even including Warren. And Warren, that's another story. But DT has really been helping us. And I know with their new economic development director, Mr. Rahal, he's been reaching out, trying to see what we can use, from DT to save the residents money.
Thank you, DT.
I didn't see me. So thank you, Khalil Rahal. Okay, let's go ahead and put this to a vote. Motion made by Councilman Ahmad, seconded by Councilman Breyer. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item 9G. Now, for council members, we got to kind of minimize the questions on these. We got to call ahead of time, preferably. Item 9G, City Engineer Dib, Beach Daily Non-Motorized Crossing Design Proposal.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the Beach Daily non-motorized crossing design proposal for professional engineering services with Wade Trim for an amount not to exceed $19,900. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payments as outlined in 9G.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Constant, seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that? Just quickly for those in the audience, this is for the walkover from one side of the street to the other, right across from Crestwood High School.
No
Not
walkover.
walk, sorry.
Crossing.
Crossing.
Sorry.
I'm still in flight mode. Sorry, still in flight mode. My mistake. Anyways, I'd like to thank, one of the city residents that helped push this thing forward, Mr. Mohammed Jani. So thank you, and I think he'll be happy at least this process continue to move forward. So thank you.
Mr. Deep,
Yes, sir.
I was actually just recently, about a week ago, I was in Birmingham having breakfast with my wife. And as we drove through, the neighborhood where there was a school, you're talking in a very desirable neighborhood, you see this beautiful school, you see this beautiful park. There were signages everywhere and on the road. So when you drove through, obviously the car, newer cars now will ring, you're in a school zone, you're in a park zone, but the street said school zone on the ground. And I actually took pictures, which I will share with you. When you got near a park, it says park zone, and this is our neighboring cities. And, I know, this is something that I'm just not bringing up to you. Is there a chance now that you're going to be installing this? Beach Daily is ours. And
So this is for Beach Daily. If you had just waited that comment till next meeting, I will be bringing you a proposal. We just got a proposal from our engineers to look at the, exactly what you just mentioned. So we're gonna take it to the next level. All the schools, first we have to get a complete survey of all the schools, and every school layout and the crossings are different. So we have a proposal to survey all of them and then to go to the next level, which means curb cuts, crossing, signage, flashing LED lights, paving, the whole shebang. It's not going to be cheap. We have, I believe, 26 schools. Yeah, so we surveyed the entire city with the schools and the location because everyone is different.
I'm just gonna tell you, time is of the essence, because I don't want to hear, oh, here comes October, we can't do it.
It's not gonna get done this year, I can tell you, because it has to be surveyed and designed.
Can we at least get our signages out?
I mean, at minimum.
So we will have a proposal on next agenda. I just received that. I'm reviewing it now. We'll have a proposal for the design work. Each one is different. And we'll bring it because it's gonna cover the entire city, all the schools, and then take it to the next standards. I personally visited other cities, took photos, contacted the contractors doing the work. And now we have to initiate survey.
It's crazy, believe it or not, even if you go to like, campus marshals in Detroit, you'll see like the turnaround, it'll say like 10 miles per hour and it'll give the arrow.
Just keep in mind that some cities have a lot more resources than we do, and they're able to move faster. I have to be careful and bring in the design first and then put it out to bid. Try to get the most economical way of doing that, because I don't have the luxury with funding and budget that allows me to.
Thank you. That was it. That was my only question.
Councilor Chair.
Councilman?
Thank you. So, Mr. Deeb, can you tell us exactly how it's gonna look, this crosswalk? Like,
So
if there's no light, right? It's Hawk. If you, high intensity, have you, seen Dearborn, Dearborn crossing?
Yes.
I did go drive by there and see that.
You'll understand.
It's really.
It's new, it's a big green arm. Yes.
And it is first class. It is, so we. Yes.
Dearborn.
So it's a duplicate, the same equipment, the same everything. It's just being done. So it's not the wire. We actually have a cantilever.
Middlebelt and Ford Road, it's so the new MDOT is going through these new designs where the arm, it's just an L, big up and then an arm.
So
It's
it's
just
not
no
a
wire.
wire.
Okay, but there's the lights to stop.
Yes, and it's on demand, and then we also have ramps, so we can connect the sidewalks.
Do we know when this is projected to start?
Well, I couldn't start until we're trying to get the funding because we have approval. The state was excited. We're getting the SunCog money, so I don't want to lose that.
We're just approving the design.
We're
Just to make it, we're just approving the design.
You're approving the design.
Of the project.
Yes, you're approving the design and that will be submitted.
Thank you.
Through the design process, you have, because of the funding that the city is receiving, you have to follow the LAP, local agency project guidelines. There's specific dates that you have to hit to target. So we're targeting a March letting out the bid, and then that would put us in line for April construction.
Thank you.
Okay.
Council Chair, real quick. It was brought to my attention by some residents that, they're very happy with what's going on here with these, school crossings, school signage, all these things. But they wanted to be made aware of any meetings that the public is welcome to attend when you have these meetings, safety issues, meetings. I know you said you did some studies. Can we notify the public or can make comments at city council meetings when you're gonna have a meeting that would be open to the public?
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go ahead and put this thing to a vote. Motion by Constant, seconded by Councilman Ahmad. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9H, Director McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Deeb.
Council Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Deeb.
Thank you, Mr. Deeb. Everything but windows.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the city library's acceptance of the 13th District Community Grant Award in the amount of $206,000 as outlined in 9H.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Baydun, seconded by Ahmad. Any questions or discussions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
We can't oppose money.
And of course not. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mike. Good job. Great. You and your department. Next up on our agenda is item 9I, Library Director McCaffrey.
Council Chair.
Councilman.
I move that Dearborn Heights City Council approve the carpet contract for the central area at Caroline Kennedy Library to library design for an amount not to exceed $71,794 and authorize the controller to return the bids to the unsuccessful bidders. In addition, authorize the mayor and controller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payment from the library fund balance as outlined in 9-I.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Baydun. Any discussion on that?
Chance.
All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Next item on our agenda is item 9J, Parks and Recreation Director Lawrence Hell.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that Dearborn Heights City Council approve the amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for the 2018-2021 park millage allocation for the Van Hoen Park improvements to extend the agreement term to end September 30, 2024, to provide for the completion of the improvement at Van Hoen Park. In addition, authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the amendment as outlined in 9-E.
Support. Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad, supported by Baydun. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair, this is, we had a discussion last meeting when you were away. And, we had a meeting with Commissioner Kinesic and Mayor Bazey and with directors from Wake County and to work on the extension for this millage allocation. And worked in our favor, luckily.
Good.
Thank you, Council Chair.
All right, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is item 9K.
Council Chair.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
I recommend a motion that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the police department auction of vehicles that have been seized from drug asset forfeiture proceedings and to use bid jury for the auction. Money from the auction will go into the state forfeiture account as outlined in 9E.
Support. Motion made by Councilwoman Breyer, supported by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
there's quite a few vehicles here. I was just curious. I mean, there's probably, I don't know, probably
150,
150.
142.
Now, I'm assuming that these vehicles are stored in like a pound of towing zone or something. The sale of these vehicles, once they're sold, the storage fees paid off, am I correct on that? Or is that something the city owns that storage fee, or who pays the storage fee?
Okay, we have our director here, who'll answer that. Come on up.
Good evening, Paul Van Cloud, Director of Sports Services. How may I answer your question, sir?
Oh, I'm saying, once these vehicles are, I'm assuming that these are stored in like a towing storage facility, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And there's a daily fee on these vehicles, and,
There is a fee structure, yes.
do we pay that fee daily, or are they letting us hold off until we sell the vehicles again?
We don't pay the fee, sir. The car owner or the identified owner accrues the fees. When these cars get abandoned, seized, do you actually have the motion in front of you?
I've got it.
Yeah.
Can I see it, please?
It's all requirements by state law, what they can charge.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, these are all the, the vehicles that we come into contact with. Once we identify the owners, obviously we look to the owners. We have to give notice. It's a full process that's outlined by law. The city doesn't pay a dime. They all go to the storage lot. When they auction them off, any proceeds go to offset any costs. And then proceeds are also sent to the state of Michigan. I mean, we other than us processing the paperwork to ensure that owners have been contacted, the city really has no exposure. This is just a formality and a process.
The profits, if there is any, they go into the C for, what's it
These
called?
all go to the state of Michigan, and then they're vetted out based on other factors too, plus, ownership by banks if they have any interest. So it's been going on for years. I'm actually surprised that this hasn't been covered by prior administrations, because this is a historical thing, sir.
And there's a Secretary of State form, the TR-52s, Ls that go out to all owners. When the vehicle seized, they've got 20 days to comment. After that, it's treated as abandoned. The Secretary of State keeps track of that.
Do you ever run the risk of having more storage fees than the vehicle's worth?
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen all the time. There's some of these things that total garbage.
Yeah.
Usually on a whole loan.
So Director, Council Chair, do you mind? So you're saying we never had such an option for a long time?
Yeah, because prior administration failed to do that, sir.
Oh, thank you for doing this.
As in everything, that's what we're here to do, sir, is to bring this up.
Thank you.
And clean this up.
Great job.
Excuse me, hold on. I thought I heard something. I'm sorry, did I hear from?
No.
Oh, am I allowed?
Wait,
Because I
no,
heard
if
something.
you don't mind, no.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I address it, but I appreciate it.
No.
And, remember, our address is 25637 Michigan Avenue. If there's any other questions, Director Vanderpump, more than happy to answer anything you might have. Thank you, sir.
So we're good. All right, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and put this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda, item 13A, temporary food truck tent cart business license application.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the temporary food truck tent cart business license renewal application for the Burger Co. as outlined in 13A.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baydun, seconded by Ahmad. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I've actually never heard I've never had the Burger Co. But I hear this is, phenomenal from what I'm hearing. I've never had it. I believe Councilman Ahmad said he was gonna treat us. He's yet to do so, but,
Well, we had to renew the license first. Yeah.
well, they've been open and it's just a different, well, but I hear it's very good. Congratulations to them. You know, anytime you're out there to do a renewal, I know this isn't a very small part of Dearborn Heights, I believe on Michigan Avenue, correct? Michigan, yes. So it's a very small strip of Dearborn Heights. They chose Dearborn Heights and you know what? Good for them. The fact that they're still open, that's amazing. So shout out to them. Thanks, Council Chair.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and take this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Congratulations. Next item on the agenda,
Motion to adjourn?
no. First thing is comments from council members.
Council Chair.
Wait, hold on, just give me a quick second, because I think this is more important. One of our former council members is unfortunately passed away. Councilman James Thomas Doyle, a former Dearborn Heights City Council Chairman, passed away on August the 3rd. And what we do is we're gonna take a moment of silence for him. If you don't mind, please, thank you. Thank you, and I thank his family for his service.
Council Chairman, thank you so much. And, you know, before we put this, meeting to bed, again, I just want to give a heartfelt welcome or congratulations, even though I voted no, alongside Councilman Ahmad for the resignation of Councilman Muscat. These meetings are not going to be fun without him sitting up here. You know, but he made a decision for his family. And so I congratulate him on 8 years of success and to giving back to the city of Dearborn Heights. It's not easy. When you talk to him, similar to myself, similar to all of us on here, we're constantly answering phone calls. We're constantly being yelled at. And guys, it's not easy sitting up here and having the title as a councilman, you know, man or woman. But, you know, we do it because it's the service. And for myself, you know, when I first got on here, I really looked up to Ray, and I still do, even despite some of his decisions of us going back and forth. He comes from a good place, and so you know he's able to retire and be spend time with his family and grandchildren and children and wife. So good for him. Maybe he'll end up at the Miller's Lake House most of the weekends, and I have to read his packet. That's for that. Secondly, I know Mr. Councilman Wenzel is always preaching family. This past weekend, I went on an amazing golf trip with a lot of my friends. It was amazing. I was the only non-golfer out of 20 people. I promise you guys, I was the best golfer there. I would challenge Caleb. I know everybody laughed. I mean, some of the guys that were with me, it was a complete guys golf trip.
Pretty bad golfers.
No, they live on the country. They live on the Dearborn Country Club, and like they're well off, and they golf, you know, 20 holes or 18 holes 2-3 times a week. Here I come as this guy who hasn't, you know, golfed in over 3-4 months, and I golfed them all. Got paid, believe it or not. I thought I was going to lose a lot of money, but I was able to do that. I was able to take my wife and my son to Kalahari. It was amazing. My wife can't travel because she's in her third trimester of her pregnancy.
Spent the money.
And we already spent the money. I hadn't won much. It was like $16 or something, but it was nice. But really, I spent some time with my wife and my son, and it was amazing. And you know, really, you watch my son, who's be turning 2 years old on September 3rd, the weekend of Labor Day weekend. And where has time gone? Really, it's flying. And so I remind all of our residents at home, spend time with your parents, spend time with your grandparents, spend time with your loved ones, spend time with your council members, and just really, spread love, enjoy what we have. And God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other announcements from council members?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I also would like to echo what Reverend Councilman Doon said about Councilman Councilman Muscat. I mean, it's going to be really tough not to see him anymore. I do wish him the best. Like I said before, he's not going to be in my prayers. I hope he feels better. Also would like to mention, I want to thank LAHC, Leaders Advancing and Helping Communities, a local nonprofit that they did an event this past Friday. It's a back to school summer bash where they gave away backpacks for students with school supplies. They did some health screening, games, food at the event. I think it was attended by the mayor as well. I also would like to wish a happy belated birthday to our councilwoman Nancy Bright. It was yesterday. And finally, it's back to school next week. I would like to ask you guys, all the parents, please be careful. Be careful of our kids. Be safe out there. Thank you, Council Chair.
My son,
Is he going to school?
and also happy belated birthday to Councilman Ahmad.
Yes.
Say that. It was just his birthday last week, Sunday.
Thursday.
Big 5-0.
You gotta spend more time with your council members.
Big 50, by the way.
Yes. You go first.
No, ladies first.
Ladies first.
Okay, the usual announcements. We have our Ecorse Creek meeting tomorrow evening at 3335 South Beach Daily, 6 p.m. And then on the following evening, the 24th, we will have the South Dearborn Heights Civic Association meeting. We will have a speaker talking about fraud. That's at 7 p.m. at that same location.
Councilman Constance next.
I just have one thing up.
Doesn't matter. Councilman Constance.
Okay, go ahead.
I again want to wish our good friend Ray Muscat the best of health. I know it was a hard decision for him. He really does put in his time as a councilman. Very passionate, was very passionate recently. He's getting some meetings set up about some light in the city. I miss bracket jokes with Ray, but I'll have to go by his house and see him. Also want to congratulate our fitness instructor, who's a Dearborn Heights resident, John Hibler. He again won the 2023 Senior of the Year Award, best all-around athlete. I think John is in his 80s and he runs 6-7 miles a day. He is a weightlifter. He has a daughter who's a dentist down in Florida who's like a power lifter. So congratulations to Mr. John Hibler.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. And this is actually to Roger, maybe we can get in contact. I know we were looking at sycamore trees that we were gonna look at and, look, for me, I love having trees in our city, but I mean, if we got these big trees that are putting out huge leaves that are clogging our sewer systems and hard to maintain. I got a phone call from my favorite redhead's mother this past weekend while I was on vacation, and I took the call, and older woman yelling at me, and all I could do was just take it. I had to take the heat. And I kept saying, I'm on vacation with my family, like I'm gonna hang up. And she kept saying, no, you're gonna listen. And so I listened. And like these trees are clearly a nuisance to our city. And I know we can't take out every single sycamore tree. But Roger, please, I know this is something that you said you were gonna handle. Let's just not, as it comes to an end, we know fall is right around the corner. Some of these residents can't maintain these trees. They're older. A lot of animals can't walk in that neighborhood because, they're getting poked by the branches, or there's like a fuzz that comes out that's very pokey. So please, I don't want to just talk about this once or twice and then we're no longer talking about replacing these sycamore trees.
We've talked about, I think, amending the ordinance that came to trees review. But I think we've got to take out that $385, the amount that residents have to pay to take down the trees themselves. So if I'm willing to meet, I was talking to roundabout meeting, so we can look at how to restructure that ordinance, and if you want to join us, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would
We have
definitely.
a draft, just to take out some of that language and see the repercussions and bring it to you.
And some of them that are really like, damaging our city. I mean, the city should also step up and eliminate some of these trees that we know are causing huge damages to homes and sidewalks. And at the end of the day, it's still a city tree.
Yeah, I think somebody didn't know what that trees they were planting
Oh, I
15 years
agree with
ago,
you.
20
I
years
agree
ago
with
when they went to
John
a
Canfield, who's
schematic, yeah.
Yeah.
supervisor.
So I was meeting with some residents in their garage in traditional way this weekend. We were talking about that, how it started. It gave me some great insight into the city.
Thank you.
Okay, any other council members?
Council Chair?
Councilman?
Thank you, Council Chair. I've got a few things here. One thing I want to start out with is, for the past few months, 6 months or a year, I've been accused of, getting help from different people and helping me look at packet items and writing resolutions and doing a lot of stuff for me or giving me ideas. And I just want to clear this up right now, once and for all. I do get help. I get help from a lot of people. Only a fool would say they don't get any help. There's not one person in this room that was born with all the knowledge that they have today. I don't claim to know everything about the CDBG department, the Parks and Recreation department, the building department. I rely on everyone else's help to help me investigate things, give me ideas, find items that I overlooked. So I do get help, and I'm sorry if that offends somebody. Last weekend, I attended the Westwood School District back to school backpack giveaway. It was a great event. Bill Bozzi attended it also. It was really nice. A lot of kids there. They got a lot of stuff that given away for free. It was a great event. And speaking of schools, schools coming back in session. And we want to make sure that we all drive safely, especially in the mornings and in the afternoons with schools starting and getting out. We don't want to have any tragedies that we're going to be dealing with and feeling bad about for years to come. Let's obey the stop signs and the newly painted crosswalks. This is why the city has to work together with their school districts. We're two separate entities, but there's no reason why we can't work hand in hand in solving all of our problems, our issues, and work together. Speaking of Ray Muscat, Ray's, all the things were said, just about everything was said. But one of Ray's passionate items lately was the blight issue. And I'm personally going to take up where he left off and work with him. And I nicknamed the effort the blight fight. And I hope that any citizens that have issues with blight in their area report to the ordinance department. And if you're not getting any luck there, or they're very taxed, they're very busy, don't feel free to call your council representative to help out. Now, I speak about family all the time, and I attended this past Friday the movie in the park at the Swapka Park behind the Richard A. Young Center. They have a giant inflatable movie screen, and the movie was The Minions. It was a really great movie. And there's several people there, and I talked with our deputy director of Parks and Recreation, AJ. He was there manning the facility. And this is a great family activity. There was a light turnout, but everyone that was there enjoyed it. And we're having another one, I believe, on September 23rd. Is that what, Director? And I encourage everyone, save that date. I believe, is that a Friday? Yeah, save that date. And because you bring your family there, the District 7 Dads Club runs a concession stand there. All the proceeds go to District 7 Dads Club. It's a great, cheap, free, fun night out, and I encourage everyone to attend. September 23rd.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Any other announcements from council members?
Council, I have one more thing here. I want to thank our building maintenance director, Mike Blackburn, for changing out the flags that we have out here in front of City Hall. They were kind of tattered. Good. Is Mike still here?
No, he's in there earlier.
Okay, well, a good job, Mike, and all your people in your department.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have announcements from administration. Any announcements from administration? I know we have our popular Mike McCaffrey here, so we'll start with that.
Well, hello, council, chair and mayor. Just want to talk about a couple of items. Speaking of outdoor films, first off, this Thursday night at Caroline County Library, we will be having an outdoor movie night. So come and join us at 5:30 p.m. as we watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Popcorn and refreshments will be served. All attendees will be entered into a drawing to win a Guardians of the Galaxy gift basket. Must be 13 or over to attend or accompanied by a parent or caregiver. So it's at 5:30 p.m. It's Thursday.
Thank you.
Next up, Saturday, September 16th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Caroline County Library. Join us for our library open house. Family entertainer Cameron Zavara will perform a comedy magic show at 2 p.m. The Wayne Health Mobile Unit will offer health screenings and vaccinations. You can also obtain or renew your library card and learn about the extensive services and collections that the library offers. Try electronic resources like Canopy for streaming movies and Overdrive Libby for downloading ebooks and audiobooks in English, Arabic, and other languages. We will have refreshments, children activities, inflatables, and a free tin can raffle that will include gift cards, a Galaxy tablet, a decorative heart from Glass Academy, and more. I'd also like to offer some comments on Ray as well. What I felt was what his most admirable quality was is as fiery as he was about his views. You could always talk to him. He would always listen. He could alter his views. He would change his mind. Just as fiery as he was, he would always change his mind if he felt that he needed to. So, right. So for 16 years, he's 180 on probably a dozen things, and I remember him talking before he was on council. So I always admired that quality about him. I thought it made him a scholar in general, so I appreciated that. That's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the live.
Okay, thank you, Director. Any other comments from administration? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and go to our very popular public comment section. So you'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name, city, and street. Thank you.
1 second.
1 second, sir.
Not there. 2 hours and 14 minutes. What are you bring a timer for?
How late my wife was to dinner.
Ready, set, go ahead.
Mohammed Saad, 25620 Dearborn. I bought this property like 2 months ago or 3 months ago. It was operating as a used car dealer. Moved in, got my CFO. We wanted to do some renovations to the building, so they told us we have to go to the planning commission. Where we went, there was some comments by Mr. D to update the drawings. And then we came back again, and the next time they said, no, we don't need to be in the planning commission. It's already grandfathered, so there's nothing to be in there. So I went ahead and I wanted to go forward, get my business license. I found out the previous owner, for some reason, he did not get his business license. I reached out to him. He said he got approved and moved in like around COVID time. And he moved in around COVID time. And for some reason, he totally forgot about his business license, and no one from the city reached out to him about his business license. So he was operating, and when you buy a business, you go through the records, and no one goes for. I did reach to the city, and I checked if this was a grandfather, and said, and everybody told me yes, it is, and he's operating. So no one told me about his business license. So he's the father like 2 or 3 years, and I wanted to move in and operate. Now I'm losing money, to be honest with you. So, if I could pay his fees, whatever, for the 2-3 years for the previous owner, I'm not asking for zoning or anything.
it's operating business. I mean, assuming he was operating now, I did not buy it, he will still be operating. So,
Well, then I got a quick question for you. So you're saying you purchased a used car dealership on Dearborn,
yes,
and now when you went to the city to renew your license or
No,
to get a business license?
no, I get my CFO, everything, everybody,
Did you get a CFO?
yeah, I did.
So what's the issue?
Now, I wanted to get my business license. So,
There's a lien against the property. And there's a lien against the property by the
no, there's
city?
no lien, nothing, there's no lien, nothing.
So, amount down was from the architect. The 2020.
Talking to the mic, please, Mr. Doug.
2020 was approved for used car dealership. And he was operating. Right now, we're doing upgrade. They said we have to go to the planning commission. And Mr. Deep, he knows all the story. He can tell you better than me and what exactly happened.
Okay, so come on up, Mr. Deep. So, but the only thing is, I'm just trying to understand what it is that you want the city council as a body to do.
No, I want to get my business license.
Right, but for that, you would start with the building department and the clerks.
There's what?
They advise us to come here.
Okay, Mr. Deep, do you know what the
Yeah,
main
so,
issue is?
so the way, all right, so, yes, the applicant did apply, to the planning commission, and the question came up, as you know, we have a moratorium on used car lights. So the question
because
became,
it elapsed, can't get a new one.
is it an existing grandfather then, or is it a new one that we need to apply? Which, of course, if it is not an existing business, then there is a moratorium. So the issue now is not an engineering, building issue. It's more like, is it an existing, or is it?
Well, I'm gonna tell you where I stand on this. If the business was already approved as a car dealership or, and I know, look, I wanna be honest with you, this is a very sensitive topic because we're trying to get away from this in the south end of Dearborn Heights. We really are. But if it's already been established, and you're buying a business that's already been established and approved by the city, they shouldn't be held responsible or penalized for any of that sake. So I don't,
Well, the way the moratorium was originally written was,
no,
no additional used car lots can be opened over and above what was already open. So to me, in my mind, unless the corporation council can tell us any different, in my mind, if there's a particular entity in that same building and there was already one there and the license lapsed, and there's a new one that's coming in for the same exact property, for the same exact business, I personally, as a council member, would have no problem with that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, as a realtor, somebody dropped the ball, maybe your attorney, honestly, looking into whether there was still a license or not. And I'm being
So
blunt.
prior owner may have lapsed his business license. or
Excuse
whatever.
me, Council Chair, there was never a business license for a car dealership.
Or it was not.
He had zero, he never had a business license.
yeah, but not from the
Never
city.
had one from the city.
Okay.
And that's where I need to talk to Corporation
What I
Council.
would suggest is. that
Okay,
we-
so in this particular case, what I would suggest, if you don't mind, corporation council, is maybe give your name and number to the corporation council.
I can't.
We'll look into the legalese and then go ahead and pursue it from there. If one of the options available to you is to go through the city council, then there's a process for that, of course. If you turn it to through the council chair, I'd approve it to be put on the agenda or not approve it, depends on what it is, and then go from there.
Well, I got a quick
But
question
we
for you.
can't right now decide on this, obviously.
I got a quick question for you. What was this before that owner was there?
I believe it was Donovan, the Donovan place?
VFW.
VFW.
So it's a VFW hall. It became a collision or used car dealership.
No. Okay, so it's a VFW hall then?
It was.
Okay.
It was before the previous.
Right, so I'm familiar with that one, a little bit familiar with it. So it wasn't VFW hall, it was sold and then they were operating, now the dots are coming together. They were operating it as a used car lot, but not necessarily quote unquote fully legally licensed, correct?
Yeah, they never,
They had CFO only.
as far as, I don't know.
And even under this.
They were approved by city council.
I don't remember that honestly, but that could be wrong. Okay, so, no, I understand. So just to be fair, sir, we'll have you speak with our corporation council, if you can give your name and number. Our corporation council will look into it, He'll navigate it through the city council and the clerk's office. And then if you don't mind letting me know what the next step would be, then we'll go from there.
But his, yeah, okay, one more comment.
Sure.
His dealer business is being built as a, for, property business.
Sir, I'll make it clear, I'm not denying you, but I can't believe you right now on the spot, you don't have any of this information. I'm just telling you, I don't recall us in the, I say recall, I'm not saying it didn't happen, I don't recall us as a body approving that particular place for, a license for selling cars. But, in the same token, we have to follow the normal protocol, so Establish Corporation Council, maybe give me your name and number, and then he'll take it from there. And when it does come in front of us, I'll try to rush it through as much as I can. Okay? Okay, anybody, come on up, man. Sir, would you give them your name and number, please? 1 second, Rachel.
Yeah, go ahead.
We got it working.
I'm gonna use my phone, but my phone's gonna die unless we got a charger, but.
Here,
I've got a cord if you need one.
Sorry, guys.
There you go.
All right. All right, go ahead.
Ready? Rachel LaPointe, Merrick Street, Dearborn Heights. Regarding the grant for the community centers, that's awesome. Hopefully we'll get it, fingers crossed. I would love if we could consider for the Richard A. Young Center, either repairing or replacing the gymnasium bleachers because they're a death trap and an accident waiting to happen once basketball season starts. I didn't feel safe at all there last year going to watch my kids' basketball games. I'm not looking forward to it this year. I know she's going to want to play, and they're very dangerous. So hopefully we can maybe include that because I know it wasn't an exhaustive list of projects for the thing. So hopefully we can fit that in. When we were talking about the DTE and streetlights got mentioned, it reminded me, and I'm not sure who to go to about this. There's a streetlight on Merrick that is purple and it's not supposed to be purple. I saw a news article, something about some sort of error. I don't know if it's something that you guys need to talk to DTE or how that would get worked out, but maybe if somebody knows about that, they could talk to me after the meeting. And then I did have a question. I had a few questions about the vehicle auction that I had emailed Chief Hart about last week. He never got back to me. And some of that was answered about the fees for storage. So thank you to Councilman Wenzel for asking one of the same questions I had. But the other question that I had is kind of how far of a backlog was this? Like, is this 10 years worth of seized vehicles? Is it 5 years worth of seized vehicles? Is it 6 months worth of seized vehicles? Like, how far of a backlog were we talking? Because some of those years on those cars were older than me. And, you know, that's a lot. So I don't know if Director Vanderplow would be able to answer how far of a backlog this is. But that was it. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Next up, anybody in the audience? And by the way, Margaret, I received an answer from Director Conrad for you, which I was going to be calling you tomorrow. I received it this afternoon.
Okay.
He's on if he's able to
Is
answer.
he on?
Please. He was on earlier.
Dr. Conrad, are you on? Dr. Conrad.
Director Conrad.
Okay, he's not on any longer, but he was on earlier.
He is?
Okay.
I see you.
Okay.
Okay. Margaret King, Mayfair Street. I wanted to start off with saying thank you again to the DPW Director, Mr. Conrad, for giving us updates on the crosswalks that are getting painted. Your communication and transparency is not going unnoticed, and thank you again. I'm very happy to hear that we have a plan in place, but I have a couple of questions for our school zone safety. When will the surveys be done? How long from today now that it sounds like there's a plan in place, will it start seeing the real change and upgrades throughout our city? Is there any projects that we can start now, such as the reflective tape on the stop signs to help for at night time during, school's going to be starting here soon? Can we do that? That's it. All my
Okay.
questions got answered.
Director would like to answer. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
Director, you on? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, am I unmuted now?
Yes.
You're fine.
Okay, thank you. I guess as far as the traffic study, I mean, I think Mr. Dibb talked on that earlier in the meeting. I don't have any additional dates or anything other than what he discussed, when he gave his little briefing on the, Beach Daily School crossing, what we were doing at the other schools. I will say that, we didn't have the best weather, since the last council meeting, but we did get out and get, some painting done this week. We currently have 2 schools left to finish. And we're hoping that, we'll be able to get that next week. We also have about 4 locations that we have to go back to and complete some crossings because we weren't able to do them all at the time that we were there the first time. So if you do, I guess, like the crossings that you mentioned today in your email, there are, I think, 5 or 6 locations that we have to go back to readdress some crossings that we couldn't paint at the time we were there due to other circumstances, either construction or, there wasn't some clarity as to the distance the stop bars were supposed to be. But rest assured that is on our high priority list of work to complete in the next week.
Okay, thank you, Director. Next up, come on up.
Rose Trumpetti, 2 Lane Street. I'm here for the same thing I was here 2 weeks ago. When are we going to find some information about our director at Eaton?
Unfortunately, Director Lawrencell is not here,
Very convenient.
and I'm not
Very
sure.
conveniently.
I'm sorry?
Very conveniently.
Oh, I can't comment on it. I'm not sure. Anybody from administration that can answer this question by chance?
When is it going to be put on the agenda? When is anything going to be resolved?
Okay, I've not been brought nothing forward towards me to approve to be put on the agenda.
Who has to do it?
So the best secretary, in this particular case, because unfortunately there's not somebody else here that can answer that question for you. If you don't mind giving your name and number to George, and then who is it that you'd like to contact you back? And hopefully we'll contact you back.
Council Chair?
It's getting to be
Yes.
too long.
I believe last volley between us was, it was in the hands of our HR director to amend the budget to find monies for this. Is Margaret our director on?
Right, but she's not here either, so I
I
can't.
will follow up with her tomorrow on the issue. I'll get the information.
Council get a hold of Rose.
Margaret, I'll talk to Margaret tomorrow morning, and then we'll get hold of Rose.
I mean, I know that this has only been a couple of months that we've been asking for this, but it's been 7 years we asked for a toilet in the office. And a lot of you have seen what it looks like. You were there, David, about 4 years ago when we had problems with the roof. We had everybody come out, the mayor came out and the council, and I think Lisa was there, and it got fixed. This time, about 2 years ago, when this mayor got on, we called him out. Nothing. So it's ridiculous.
Council Chair, I got a question for you. We've had director positions not have to go through civil service in many different capacities. I don't see why it's like this one is such a big deal. I mean, almost every single director in our city didn't have to go through that.
Directors do not, but I do know there's an interview process. I'm not familiar with this.
Sure, but she's already hired. All we're asking is to go from part-time to
Part-time to full-time, but I can't answer on behalf of.
She doesn't have a problem taking the test. She's got probably more degrees than all of us together. She's willing to take the test. So I don't understand what she wants.
So I will tell you though, the administration did email us right after the council meeting last Tuesday, and they let us know that they're working on it. I'm just giving you,
I understand.
I'm giving you what was told to us. I know it's not the answer that you want to hear, but at least that they've acknowledged and that they're reciprocating with us on this. So I'd be remiss to not be able to say that they didn't reach out to us the following day. They really did.
So 2 weeks from now, the brief should have some kind of answer.
According to the administration, by September 1st, we should be hearing from them. Thank you.
Find out.
Angela Venegas, Dwight Street, Dearborn Heights, Michigan. I don't know if anybody on council is aware, BAS software to look up something starting September 5th, the price has doubled from $3 to $6. Anybody who wants to look up something. Is that fair to us as residents? Don't we already like pay for that out of our taxes? Is that part of BSA? Aren't we paying for that already?
Yeah.
Curious. So why are we having to pay $6 unless it's your own property? You can't look up anything else. And to increase it double, it used to be $1. Just didn't know if you guys were aware of that. That's happening September 5th. And I want to address the water main break that happened on Charlesworth and Hass. The water main break was actually April 16th. It stood with a corner full of gravel, sidewalk. Nobody could use the sidewalk. And on August 9th, they finally dug up the sidewalk and they dug up probably 2/3 of the corner.
Yeah.
It's the main way to get in. So it's all dug up, surrounded by pylons since August 9th. Here it is, August 22nd. When are they going to fill in that corner? It's very dangerous. That's the main way to get into the subdivision. There's accidents there almost all the time. Nobody knows who's to stop. You can't get around. You're right there, Mo. You know.
I spoke to
How long does it take the city to put cement in?
So I will tell you, I spoke with Mr. D.
This has been since April, Mo.
I agree with you. And you know what, and I'm gonna tell you, and as crazy as it sounds, and this is from the conversation me and Mr. Deeb had, no asphalt company is gonna come in just for a small patch, but because they're doing the project off of Ford Road, they're gonna come down our neighborhood, they're gonna fill that, and then, so we could have had a company come in or DPW just patch it up, but it wouldn't ever have.
But if it's a water main break, why isn't the water company taking care of that?
Why isn't the what?
Water taking care of it. Water.
The stupid water
Yeah.
department, you mean?
Yeah, why aren't they taking care of it? It was from a
Well,
water
again,
main
I
break.
think because that pavement is new, they don't want it to look patchy. There's a company it's just a small, I'm just telling you what I was told.
That pavement, you already know, I brought this up with Ray, that pavement's already breaking up and falling apart all down Charlesworth. We already know
I
that,
agree.
so.
I agree.
Then I got another issue with the poles. Hass and Charlesworth again.
Still there.
March 5th, they put one pole, DTE big pole, it was 2 houses long. June 9th, they brought pole number 2 and 3. Here we are, August 22nd, and we have more DTE poles just sitting there. What's going on? What, you guys need to get together with DTE and do something, because they're scattered throughout the whole neighborhood.
Well,
You guys,
I
it
know
looks like
the
crap.
mayor had made a
It looks like
proposal.
crap, and you're ruining people's properties. And I talked to the guys with DTE, and they moved those 2 poles from up Hass, put them on another spot on Hass, and they said that they're tired of people yelling at them for putting this on their properties, and they just keep moving these poles around the neighborhood. You guys need to get a hold of DTE, because it's bad enough we got enough blight in the neighborhood, then you add this on top of it. It looks horrible. Horrible. It's been going on for years.
Before you guys said you're gonna get rid of them.
He's going to share that.
You can speak right up for Rogers.
Yes.
We were working on a zoning ordinance with the attorney to tell DTE, sort of like abandoned vehicle type thing. But the fact that this is a public service, this is their FPSC. These guys, all utility companies do not have to pull a permit when they do work on their systems. So when you see DTE doing work, they don't necessarily notify any community, not just Dearborn Heights. They just go ahead and do it because they're FPSC covered, right? So they can go out there. We worked out a deal with them to have a 30-day limit on pole replacement. But they have multiple departments involved, and the contractors doing the work are not necessarily DTE contractors. So the person that they purchase the poles. They specify first the DTE supervisor writes the red X on the poles that need to be replaced. And then the different entity buys the poles, another entity delivers them, and then yet different contractors, and I watch them do it in front of the city hall, do the installation. Now, the timeline between these activities are not controlled by just one person. I wish we brought that up with the VP that was here, because Rick Wilder Barbara is very active with that. In fact, we got her in touch with our attorney to work out an ordinance and say, if we pass an ordinance that says you abandon your pole on our city street within 30 days, it's ours. And we will have the same company that towed the abandoned vehicles tow the pole. And I found out how much those poles cost. Trust me, they will pay back to get it because they are expensive. But we haven't passed that ordinance, and I can't enforce it unless it is actually an ordinance.
How much are they?
Close to 30K.
Wow.
They're not cheap.
I'll start selling them. I'll make a lot of money.
You
have a
can't turn
chainsaw
now. Councilman, Ray Muscatone, initially wanted to turn them into firewood, but you unfortunately can't do that because they're chemically treated. So you can't, they're chemically treated.
Okay, and one more thing, we've got 2 or 3 streets where we have gotten trailers with bobcats that people are running businesses out of their homes. One's on Charlesworth. And they sit there all the time. And I know our police department has to be driving by and seeing these vehicles. And I'm sure it's against our ordinance to have trailers parked in the street, bobcats sitting on them all day. Nuts. So, and Ray, we're gonna miss you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Council Chair, just vehicles are in the street, that's not ordinance issue, that's a police issue. So you know, that, some don't call ordinance on that, call the police.
The subcontractors that DTE uses, they're awful. They, like when they go to people's backyards and pick up trees. I had a case years ago where they were on the road and they hit a woman head on and killed her. I echo what our city engineer said about they need to police those subcontractors better.
Okay.
I would just say as a correction, I don't think it's a police issue. I think it's still an ordinance issue. Mr. Wenzel. Checking with our police department, but in either case, we'll follow up.
Well, every time I've had a resident call me and say there's a boat parked out in the street or something on the street, they say that's a police issue. So I might be wrong. I'm sorry.
We'll check it out.
Yeah.
I think we'll work together.
Okay.
Good evening, Tony Camilleri, Midway. Just a brief update on the investigation at the hazardous construction at Warren Valley Banquet Center, which is a city-owned facility. One person has been out of the office for a week and a half, is due back Monday. I've been playing phone tag with the second individual. I was hoping again to have info tonight. Some of you will probably get the info before me, so I'll just give you a heads up on that. Like I said, this is not going away, no matter how hard certain people try to cover it up by new brick or new drywall, inside and outside. I'm going to stay on this, and hopefully when you get the info, you'll do the same. This is about a public safety issue, nothing else. This is not about me, not about a restaurant. Like I said before, this is solely a public safety issue that needs to be addressed. And there's a multifaceted situation, and there was a small roadblock put in to try to stop everything, and I'm going to go through it, and that's what we're working on right now. But the other side of it is fair game, and that's what I'm going, no matter who puts roadblocks in the way. Wish I had more info for everybody tonight, but I don't. Hopefully next meeting. And what I said 2 weeks ago, I wanted to table for this meeting. I'm going to put that on a back burner for now. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble or balloon on what was said tonight about Mr. Muscat leaving. So that's where I'm tabling that. Second issue, really quick. Is there an update on the break-in or destruction at the Warren Golf Course grounds and greens? Do we have an update on that at all?
I don't have the update. I was out of town on vacation. Ironically, I called Councilman Ahmad and said if he had heard nothing, and said no, nothing as yet. But I was out of town on vacation.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Good evening again, so I don't have to fight for Rosemary. Just in response
to the director. I don't mean to insult you or anything. Actually, I am very happy you got hired to our city because you are very qualified, you are a quality person to be in our city. Just to let you know. The last auction for cars, for forfeiture cars was late November in 2020 when I was in the Treasury Department. Since that time in 21, 22, 23, there wasn't any other auction. Just to clarify that. That was the last auction for cars at that time. I want to go back to the same issues the previous gentleman spoke about, because some kids or whoever was involved in the destruction of the golf course. The mayor unfortunately went on social media and he claimed that his political opponents went and destroyed and caused the destruction of the golf course. Since somebody came forward and said he did this destruction, it is fair for everybody in the city to know who it is and how much is the damage and who's paying for it. So there is no miscommunication or or allegations, false allegations against other people by the administration. So I hope that the city council will ask the police department and the mayor to put it out for the public and for him to apologize to the people he accused falsely. Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience that has a public comment? Come on up.
How you doing, sir?
Okay, you'll have 3 minutes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Ron Frenzy, live on Fairwood here in Dearborn Heights. And school will be starting pretty soon. And I have an idea how to make schools safer. About 14, 16 months ago in Uvalde, Texas, there was a lone gunman that went into a 4th grade class, killed 19 kids and 2 teachers. And when this happened, these little kids had their cell phones, they called 911, and there were 376 first responders that came to the school. They got to the school, and then they said, what do we do next? No one practiced that. So what I would propose is that the police department practice storming the schools. So how would you do that? I would actually go on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning where there's nobody around. Then I let all the officers know ahead of time that this was going to be just a drill. Then when the call goes out at 7 o'clock, have the principal embedded in the school and say active shooter, and some police cars will be in the main police lot and others will be on patrol. All the police cars should have a map of the school, the room numbers, and especially the teachers' names, because most students never know what room they're in by number. They just know what teacher's in there. And they should the police also should have keys to get into the school, because at that time, schools are generally locked. I would embed the principal in a distant room, and this would be kind of like a hide and seek to find out where he's at. And embed the principal in a distant room, and then call the police department, active shooter in Mr. Smith's room, and say at a certain elementary school. Time it from when it starts at 7 in the morning to when the event ends. Do this for each school, including Star Academy and some of the Catholic elementary schools. Do it at least twice a year. Write up a report, what went wrong, what went right, and how to improve it. So just an idea, because schools have tornado alerts and they practice that. They have fire drills, they practice that. Why not one of these shooters? It may not happen, but it's just good insurance, because people don't know here, but the survivors in this Uvalde, district are suing the city and the state and the police department $27 billion. So we're talking like a lot of money. So it's just something to consider. It's not like city council talks about, you know, $500 here, 5,000, 5 million. It's just 27 billion. Just something to consider.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else has a comment? Thank you. Mr. Jamal, are you speaking as a resident or as a director? Because this is public comment right now.
I understand that on the chair, I raised my hand to do an announcement, but because of the glitch in the Zoom, you wasn't able to either see my hand and Director Conrad. So how you want me to present this?
Go ahead and make the announcement then.
Okay. I wanted to inform the ones on the council and the public that the city of Dearborn Heights proudly received $2.715 million from FEMA to acquire and demolish 15 homes along the creek that suffered from multiple flooding over the years. For those who applied in March 2021, their grants being approved completely for all the applications that we have, 15 homes. Very soon, you will see the approval of the grant on the council. And for the ones who apply, please be prepared to receive a request for you to purchase, also to commercially appraise your house while you are in the house. And I will, with the administration, make sure to complete this process as fast and safe under the regulatory as possible. For the ones who applied in October of 21, there will be most likely an approval by next month for another 25 homes to relieve the people who are 4 years suffering and they can't take it anymore, to be relieved from the misery of flooding.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to add that those are not a solution for the flooding of the creek.
Thank you.
Those programs are to relieve the people from the misery. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council Chair,
Councilman?
I move to adjourn.
To adjourn by Councilman Baydun, seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much and good night.
It's 4:30.
Almost 5 hours.
Oh,